That simple, you guys is on my radio. Number one show on sports.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. Weekday mornings at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN2.
Coming to you live from the Superbook Sports Studios in Kettering. You're listening to Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Yeah, but his hands are small and he didn't test very well. And I don't know. I think that guy was rude to a teacher in his junior year of high school. I don't know. I don't know if he should go there, man. Luckily, I mean, we have another couple months before we get to the. No, we don't. The draft is tonight. Finally! I'm so sick of draft talk. And in regards to, I love draft talk, but I'm tired of, we're at the point now of no return. The draft is officially here. We no longer have to do all this. What if this happens? What if that? Well, technically, we might have another couple hours. But you see my point.
Another 5 hours till the draft starts.
There's a little bit more energy tonight with the first round of the draft kicking off later on tonight. And it's amazing how the draft is just, as big as the Super Bowl, as wild and weird as that sounds. It's not bigger than the Super Bowl. But, my goodness, this trumps any week 1 through 17 matchup that we get come the season. We know how big the NFL regular season is. I guess Kansas City tonight, this is going to be the biggest crowd to ever attend a draft ever. It's the Kansas City is buzzing right now. That's for sure.
Yeah. You want to talk about NFL events. I would say number 1, obviously, is the Super Bowl. Number 2, the whole regular season. And 3, the draft.
Right up there. I mean, it's that big of a deal. And the reason it's a big deal is because the NFL has the perfect feeder system. The college football is the ultimate feeder system. I hear people all the time say, why don't they bring back, why don't they make you have the XFL and others. Why don't you partner with them and turn them into a feeder? Because then they'd have to spend money. They would have to give some of their money to the XFL or whatever. They don't have to give a dime to college football. And I think, and to be honest, I don't think they're exploiting college football. College football is as big as it is because when we're watching a star, we know that a year later,
yes,
they're going to be stars in the NFL. It's not like Major League Baseball where we'll watch maybe a couple, NCAA tournament baseball games coming up here in a couple months. And then we won't hear those names again 6-7 years from now. Maybe it's a little extreme, but sometimes that's not the case. Even the NBA at times. It takes, you look at, I've used this example. Julius Randle he's an all-star with the Knicks. He was just a dude when he was with the Lakers, but he needed 4 or 5 years in the league before he got that man body on him and became a star. And the Lakers have moved on from him before it was, before they can get to enjoy the fruits of the labor, I guess, if you will.
Yeah.
So
he went to the Pelicans. He went from LA to the Pelicans, now to the Knicks. A lot of those dudes left. All of the dudes left, but I don't want to derail it with NBA talk, man. It's time for the draft.
We'll get to the NBA. Don't worry.
NBA. I wonder who we're going to talk about.
Lots of LeBron James, baby. Who's better, LeBron or Michael Jordan? No. We'll get to NBA talk coming up here a little bit later on in the program. But with the draft tonight, it's all NFL here to open up this first hour. Because I forgot to do it to start, I'm Justin Kinner. He's Kev Nash. Mr. Kev Nash, welcome.
What up, doe? Draft day.
It's everyone's favorite game that we're going to open up the show with today. We usually do this on Fridays, but because of the draft, it's everyone's favorite game here on a Thursday. NFL Draft Edition, cap or no cap.
It's time for everyone's favorite segment, cap or no cap.
All right, Kev, cap or no cap NFL draft edition. For those of you who follow all the mock drafts from Mel Kiper, ESPN, and others, I think we're all exhausted with the what should our team do? What will our team do? It's officially here tonight. Let's start off with this, Kev, and the again, lots of rumors circulating right now about, the Cardinals at number 3. Well, they're maybe taking phone calls. The Titans could potentially move up. All this fun stuff's going on. Will the Texans actually just sit tight at 2 and take a non-quarterback? That seems a little gutsy to me, but there's a good possibility it could happen. So cap or no cap, Kev, a team or teams will trade up to number 2 and or 3 tonight. Cap or no cap?
No cap. Somebody's going to trade up to the 3 spot. Cardinals want to get out of that 3 spot and get more players and get more guys around them. They're about to trade DeAndre Hopkins probably tonight, and they're going to trade back because they need a lot to fix what's going on with them. They don't just need one guy. They need multiple guys. They're going to lose their star receiver. Their star quarterback is coming off an injury, so they need a lot more pieces than what they already have. So they're going to trade back. That 3rd pick will be traded.
So no cap means truth and cap means lie.
There you go.
So when I said, of course, a team or teams will trade up to number 2 and or number 3 tonight, that means movement with the 2nd or 3rd pick. That will happen tonight, cap or no cap. I say no cap because I don't know. I feel like they would have done it by now, right? Or where do you have the leverage? Is the leverage in the build-up to the draft, or do you lose that leverage when the draft starts?
You lose, depending on your perspective. If you are a team high, you want to go ahead and get it over with, kind of like how the Chicago Bears did. But if you the team that is trying to trade up because you know that they want to get rid of it, like the Cardinals don't want to be in this spot. Like the Texans, I don't think they have a problem being in this spot. They're in the catbird seat. They go ahead and let Carolina do what they're going to do, and they can pick whoever they want. Carolina does not want to be there. Where they're going to draft Will Anderson, very good defensive rush in type of guy. They're going to drop an offensive lineman, but you need more than just those 2 guys to get back into the mix down there in the NFC West. So I think that the team, whoever comes up to take that 3rd spot, they have the power right now, not the Cardinals.
Mel Kiper has the Tennessee Titans making a move tonight in his final mock draft. Before tonight's draft, Mel Kiper, he projects that the Titans will trade up to number 3 so that they could take C.J. Stroud. Of course, you have the Buckeye connection there with the Buckeye head coach at Tennessee, of course, and Vrabel, and potentially looking to take C.J. Stroud. Other mock drafts actually have them sitting tight and taking Richardson, the quarterback from Florida, a little bit later on. It'll be interesting. I will say this. I think that we're having a hard time wrapping our head around Houston or Arizona sitting tight because I think we're enamored with C.J. Stroud. If C.J. Stroud was a quarterback for Clemson or any other team, I don't think we're being as stubborn with our analysis of him. At least I don't think we would. And I say this because the league is telling us this is not a very talented draft class as far as quarterbacks are. There's options. There's actually a lot of options at quarterback, but no one feels like there's any superstar quarterbacks in this. They're hoping Bryce Young is just because, he's smart and he played at Alabama. Roll Tide. So we'll see what ends up happening. But I do think, they do have Will Anderson going to the Houston Texans at number 2. Projected that Tennessee Titans will trade up to number 3. Arizona's the interesting one, though, because they have their quarterback. They don't need a quarterback. That's why I think that they should. That's the Houston one that I'm like, maybe they end up surprising everyone taking the quarterback. Who knows? Yeah,
I think they can trade up out of there. Somebody's going to jump over there into the 3rd pick and get their quarterback of the future.
All right, cap or no cap, NFL Draft Edition. The Cincinnati Bengals, here as we transition to cap or no cap number 2. The Cincinnati Bengals have the 28th overall pick in tonight's first round of the NFL Draft. And we've seen cornerbacks be in this slot. We've seen offensive linemen in this slot throughout the mock draft period, defensive linemen. The Bengals, they have a lot. I mean, they're
out the backfield and could be your new lead back and do whatever you're going to do with Joe Mixon. I 100% believe they should draft Jahmyr Gibbs.
On our Facebook Live and YouTube live stream, well, we popped off for a second. So if you're just joining us, cap or no cap, ESPN's Mel Kiper has the Cincinnati Bengals taking the running back from Alabama, Jahmyr Gibbs, at number 28. And that's the cap or no cap. Cap or no cap, the Cincinnati Bengals will take a running back with their number 28 pick tonight in the first round of the draft. Kev, you said no cap.
No cap. And it's going to be Jahmyr Gibbs. That is the player they should get. 1,000%, 1,000,000%. That's who they should get.
Why did Jahmyr Gibbs' name take so long to emerge as being an equal to?
Well, he's not
Bijan
equal.
Robinson?
I think Bijan Robinson. So just put numbers on it. I think Bijan Robinson is 10. I think that Jahmyr Gibbs is an 8.5.
And that's fine for the Bengals.
Yes,
you don't
absolutely.
need a 10.
Yeah, I mean,
you
he's still a first round talent. And just like kind of like what Philadelphia is doing, they're drafting their running backs high and they run them into the ground and then say deuces, see you later. And that's what I think that Philadelphia is going to ultimately get Bijan Robinson to go along with that crazy running attack they already have in Philadelphia, run him into the ground and move on to the next. And I think that's what the Cincinnati Bengals should do with Jahmyr Gibbs. He'll be able to run the ball. He'll be able to catch it out the backfield. He's an outstanding running back. I know he didn't get a lot of pub this year because Alabama kind of quote unquote fell off by losing 2 games. But he's very good, and he will suit the Bengals perfect because he's got those great hands.
Yeah, ESPN's Mel Kiper says with Gibbs still available, potentially at number 28, he thinks the Bengals would pounce. Joe Mixon was ineffective last season, and he could be a candidate to be released after the draft. Again, there's all those reports circulating from the local Bengals media that they're trying to work out him taking a pay decrease, and if he doesn't, he could ultimately be cut. And I think that those questions will be answered following this draft, especially if Gibbs is right there for the Bengals to take. And it's smart. And you talked about it. So Bijan Robinson, obviously the better running back of the two. And Jahmyr Gibbs, if we're rating him at an 8.5. If you're the Cincinnati Bengals, and I've said this before about the tight end position, you're Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Tyler. It's about the passing game.
Yes.
You don't need a top 5 running back. You need a guy that you could continue to hand off and get, those yards on the ground and, kind of, make the defense respect the pass game and that type of thing. Jahmyr Gibbs, though, has the potential to be a big-time Pro Bowl running back in the league. So I think it's a win-win if the Bengals
think Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah.
That's the type of guy he is. And the thing about it, so for me, obviously, I don't have the tape. I'm not going to these combines and everything like that, watching these guys work out. I'm simply going off of what I've seen. I've never seen Bijan Robinson catch the ball out the backfield or line up at a slot receiver with Texas. They basically handed him the ball and do your thing, and it's awesome and it's great. So I don't know if Bijan Robinson got good hands or not. I know Jahmyr Gibbs does, for sure. He's their number 1 target out the backfield last year for Alabama.
Yep, and that's what Mel Kiper goes on to say. Gibbs is a tremendous pass catcher out of the backfield, but his between the tackles ability is very underrated. He'd make this offense significantly better. And that's the thing, too. It makes it better as a complementary back to Joe Mixon or replacing Joe Mixon. And now you could potentially have a Pro Bowl running back on a rookie deal for the next 4 years, which, by the way, that's the key to success for teams who have quarterbacks making max dollar or getting top dollar. And that's exactly what's about to happen with Joe Burrow. I think this is a huge get for the Bengals if they could do that. We'll get back to the Bengals perspective on the draft coming up here in a little bit. Moving on, cap or no cap, NFL draft edition. Let's stick with the running back conversation, Kev. ESPN's Mel Kiper has a running back going in the top 10 tonight. He has the Philadelphia Eagles, who you just alluded to. They like to draft running backs high, run them into the ground, treat them like a rental car.
Yep.
Turn the rental car all beat up, maybe puts gas back in it, sometimes doesn't, and then they go get, a new car off the lot and off they go. He has them taken, obviously, Bijan Robinson out of Texas, talking about the Eagles. So cap or no cap, Kev, a running back will be taken in the top 10 during tonight's first round of the draft.
No cap. Bijan Robinson is going top 10. And if this was 10, 15 years ago, Bijan Robinson was going top 5. That's how good he is. But it's a new era of NFL football, and the running back is basically devalued. But what I like about this new NFL, at least with Philadelphia, is okay, the position is devalued, but guess when they're at their best? When they're the youngest. So we'll go ahead and spend that first round pick on him right now and use him while he's at his peak. And then when he's no longer at his peak, he can go play for someone else and we'll go get another one. And for Philadelphia, what makes it so great for them, they just went to the Super Bowl and they're drafting so high. They got 2 of them. They got 2 of them in the first round. That's why they can let those dudes go from the defensive spot, because they're making a lot of money. They can replace them with new, younger guys and cheaper guys. So they're going to be scary, man.
Yeah, Bijan Robinson in a recent interview said the quarterback in the NFL that he would love to play with, obviously Jalen Hurts, the richest quarterback in the National Football League. And so with picks in the top 10, we just assume, you don't use a running back in the top. You don't pick a running back in the top 10. Every situation is different. I remember when Zeke Elliott was drafted to the Dallas Cowboys. That was the year that the Dallas Cowboys actually had high NFC Championship Super Bowl expectations. But Tony Romo gets hurt. A lot of key guys on the defense get hurt. And then the Cowboys win like 4 games that year, and they end up in the top 5, in the draft. And I'm like, well, if Tony Romo and all these injured guys come back, they're fine. They had a top 10 offense and a top 15 rated defense that year. So they didn't have a lot of holes to fill. They could upgrade at positions, but the one thing that they could go get is Ezekiel Elliott, who was a generational running back coming out of the draft that many considered, and we saw the kind of career he had with Dallas. Yeah, and that made sense for them. If the Dallas Cowboys were picking number 4 that year because they were just horrible while healthy, they don't take Zeke that year. They take a quarterback or whatever. So that's the same thing with the Eagles. If the Eagles are a bad team and they won like 6 games, they're not drafting a running back here. They're drafting a running back here because, well, they were just this close to winning a Super Bowl last year. All right, so moving on, cap or no cap NFL draft edition. There are 5 teams tonight, Kev, that do not have a first-round draft pick. The Denver Broncos, who of course gave up their first-round pick. There's a theme here with some of these teams. The Denver Broncos gave up quite a few first-round picks to get Russell Wilson. The Browns gave up some first-round picks to get Deshaun Watson. The Rams, obviously without first-round picks, that's no surprise there with Stafford and all the other weapons that they've added over the years. The Dolphins and the 49ers. Those 5 teams, Broncos, Browns, Rams, Dolphins, and Niners, all do not have a first-round pick tonight. Cap or no cap, Kev, at least one of those 5 teams will trade into the first round. Cap or no cap?
No cap, because and I don't even have a good reason why. I just can't believe that all those teams are going to stand pat and watch all this good talent pass them by. I just can't believe that. So a team that loves to move up and down in the draft, like the 49ers and the Dolphins, I look at those guys trying to make some moves to try to get back into play. And even the Rams, I mean, we already started to see them do some wholesale changes. They traded Jalen Ramsey and things of that nature. So they're in the middle of a rebuild situation as well. So I wouldn't be surprised to see the Rams jump back in the first round and get somebody.
I'm going to say no cap as well. Or I'm going to say cap. I don't think there's any for all those teams. I mean, you look at all those teams that don't have a first round. And by the way, we make a big deal about draft picks. I can't believe they give up all those picks to get them. If you look at all these teams, Denver, I know last year was horrible, but they're built to be a playoff team. So Denver's a playoff team. The Rams, when healthy, supposed to be a playoff team. Matthew Stafford comes back and he's that Super Bowl caliber quarterback that he was before the injury. You know, they don't have a lot of, I mean, they have holes. They don't have needs that they need to give up additional picks to move back into the first round. I just don't think that that's necessary. The Dolphins, obviously, very good team, and the 49ers. The thing is, I think if any of these teams are desperate, you trade into the first round. I don't think any of these teams are desperate. So I'm going to say cap. I don't think they do. Mel Kiper, though, does believe that the Rams will trade into the first round to draft Hendon Hooker out of Tennessee. He has them taking him number 30 overall in a trade, or number 31 overall with the Kansas City Chiefs, and saying it's a perfect situation. Hendon Hooker needs time to heal anyways, so no one's going to draft him and bring him in to be the guy right off the bat. Matthew Stafford's their quarterback, 1-2 more years max, and that's the amount of time that they're going to need for Hendon Hooker to get settled in. So this could be a sneaky good get for the Rams as the backup to replace Stafford when it's all said and done.
You know, everything was made fun of the quarterback from Georgia for being old. You know, this is old. Hendon Hooker. Hendon Hooker is 25 years old. So he's going to sit this year. And turn 26. And then effectively start his rookie season as a 26-year-old.
We'll see what happens.
And we're talking about like how young Lamar Jackson is. Like he came into the league at 21 and everything like that. Like I'm just not sold on that.
Yep, and keep in mind, like Joe Burrow, 27. Joe Burrow's about to sign his major extension. Jalen Hurts, other quarterbacks that are that age, these guys are just coming into the league. That's why I'm like, do you give up draft assets to move into the first round? I don't think there's a talent in this first round that you trade up to get. So we'll see.
I need to look at something. I need to see how old. Who was that from the Browns drafted? That was Allen, Brandon Allen, maybe. Yeah, Brandon Allen. Let me see how old he was when he got drafted.
So, yeah, you move up to get one of them old quarterbacks.
Old young quarterback.
Yeah, so that's the thing. It was Whedon, by the way.
Oh, Brandon Whedon, yeah.
But yeah, so we'll see what ends up happening. Cap or no cap, Kidder and Kev, NFL Draft Edition. We appreciate everyone hanging out with us here as we open up the show with this. All right. So now let's talk about the NFL Draft when it comes to the Ohio State Buckeyes. We'll step away for a few moments. It's going to be interesting tonight. Three projected Buckeyes to go in the first round. Jackson Smith-Njigba, C.J. Stroud, Paris Johnson, all projected to go in the first round. But I don't want to talk about where they could go. We want to talk about where they should go. What are some teams that make the most sense for our precious Buckeyes who are going to go in the first round tonight? Jackson Smith-Njigba, not where do you think he'll go, where do you think he should go? Same thing with C.J. Stroud and Paris Johnson. Kidder and Kev, NFL Draft Edition, right here on a Thursday. We'll be right back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
Our forecast calls for a chance of showers in 52 tonight, rain Friday in 65, chance of showers in 67 on Saturday. I'm Rick Schremp for 1410 ESPN Radio.
We plant trees because people need trees, and when planted in the right place, they have great impact. Trees help slow climate change, filter our air and water, foster biodiversity, and strengthen our communities. They create the kind of transformational change the world needs now. April is a month filled with opportunities to care for and plant trees. For planting resources, contact an Ohio ISA certified arborist who can help you learn how to take the best care of your trees. Visit trees4ohio.org. That's trees4ohio.org.
The days of the week mean value at the home for fun food, sports, and spirits, Frickers. Monday, boneless freaking chicken wings. Tuesday, traditional freaking chicken wings. Wednesday, sirloin steak special. Thursday, frickin' chicken chunks. Frickers offers even more savings by offering double points on everyday values when you download and use the Frickers app. Double points on everyday value purchases. The place that saves you more money every day is the home for fun food, sports, and spirits, Frickers.
An exciting new career is waiting. KTH Parts Industries in St. Paris is now hiring industrial equipment technicians and offers outstanding starting pay, including shift premium, up to $30.49 an hour. This is an excellent new opportunity that offers an attractive benefit package, medical, dental, and 401k. KTH offers the advantage of being a short drive from home, just minutes from Bell Fountain, Troy, Piqua, and Urbana. The position will fill quickly, so please apply now at kth.net. KTH is proud to be an equal opportunity employer.
I'm Howard Mackler, founder of Innovation Refunds. You've heard me talking about the payroll tax refund for months. If you own a business, even if you've asked your CPA about this, you owe it to yourself to take another look. We provide a licensed and insured tax attorney who evaluates your company at my expense to determine eligibility. Businesses of all types can qualify, so go to getrefunds.com to potentially get a payroll tax refund of up to $26,000 per employee. Download the Innovation Refunds app or go to getrefunds.com, getrefunds.com.
I'm Scott Trout, attorney and CEO of the domestic litigation firm Cordell & Cordell. We help men deal with the life changes triggered by divorce, such as child custody and property division, among many others. But life changes also occur after divorce. These changes can make parts of your existing court order irrelevant. If you feel a modification to your court orders might be necessary, talk to us at Cordell & Cordell. We're a partner men can count on.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Dayton area attorneys. 2689 Commons Boulevard, Suite 100, Beaver Creek, Ohio, 45431.
Discover credit cards do something awesome at the end of your first year. They automatically double all the cash back you've earned. That's right. Everything you've earned doubled. See terms and check it out for yourself at discover.com/match.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry's starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover, all for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter code TRUST at checkout. That's harrys.com, code TRUST. Enjoy.
The Keith Byers Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. Hang out with College Football Hall of Famer Keith Byers every Monday at noon on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
NFL Draft tonight. Kenner and Cav live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. 518-1410, 518-1410. That's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. We opened up the show, of course, with a little draft day edition of Cap or No Cap. And, 5 teams do not have a first-round pick tonight. 5 teams in the National Football League. Those teams, of course, the Denver Broncos, gave up a lot of those to get Russell Wilson. The Cleveland Browns gave up a few first-rounders, of course, to get Deshaun Watson. The Rams have given up so many first-round picks to be able to acquire so many talented pieces on both sides of the ball over the last couple of seasons. Obviously, Matthew Stafford being one of those at quarterback. The Dolphins gave up first-round picks, of course, because they were able to land Tyreek Hill, who they ultimately would go on to pay over $30 million a year to. Oofa. And then the 49ers, who very similarly do a lot of that similar stuff that we've seen where they give up draft picks. That's the thing. Like a lot of these teams, when you're rebuilding, you want to draft young players. I think even proven teams want the younger players too. But when you're a bad team, you don't heavily invest into players at certain positions until you know kind of what you have, whether it's at quarterback, O-line, what have you. But the Niners, they know what their core is. So now it's giving up draft picks to go get bigger weapons, whether it's a team that's about to hit the blow up button and can maybe get a veteran piece for cheap or whatever it is. We see them take advantage of that all the time. All right, so the NFL draft tonight, Ohio State Buckeyes, 3 Buckeyes projected to go in tonight's first round. The first Buckeye that ESPN's Mel Kiper has coming off the board right away is, of course, C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud, tonight, Mel Kiper, with all the drama surrounding C.J. Stroud, he has C.J. Stroud going number 3 overall to the Tennessee Titans. He does have the Titans and Mike Vrabel and company trading up. They drafted Levis last year. Malik Willis last year in the draft. And they've basically lost all faith in him, according to reports. And the Buckeye head coach, very confident in the future of the Titans with Buckeye quarterback C.J. Stroud. So trading up to 3, where C.J. Stroud could potentially go. Let's start with C.J. Stroud. Not where do we think he'll go, but of all the teams in the mix, what is the best landing spot for him? Where do you think where would you love for him to end up? Like I know with Justin Fields over the year, when he was drafted, Keith Byers was adamant in New England. He would thrive in New England with a good coaching staff around him. Some might disagree with that, but same thing with C.J. Stroud. In your eyes, what's that team that if this team drafts him, you're like, okay, good for them, but that's really good for him?
I think it would be good for him to go to the Houston Texans. I think the offense that they're going to be running is going to suit him well, playing in good weather, because we all know how CJ played in the windy Chicago weather that one time. Joking aside, I think that the Houston Texans will be the best place for him to land, and then we can talk about his teammates that could potentially join him.
So you look at the teams in the draft there at the top. Again, this isn't where I think he's going to end up. The team I would love to take him, the Seahawks. The Seahawks sitting there at 5. I know they just gave the extension to their quarterback. Why am I drawing a blank? Geno Smith. Fantastic for them, by the way, last year. Right? We've done the blind resume test. His numbers were pretty much equal to Joe Burrow, and you guys, Joe Burrow's a god. And his numbers and Geno's numbers were pretty similar. And that's what's wild about that. And look, I don't think Geno is Joe Burrow. That's not what I'm getting at. So don't take it that way. But Geno's very, very good. And he's not old. But it's one of those things where you have Lockett, you have a lot of talent on this. You have a ton of talent on this offense right now. You had the running back Walker that they drafted last year from Michigan State. Yep. I think you put C.J. Stroud in that offense and you don't have money being pumped into the quarterback, and now you can keep those weapons around him and that running back around him for the next 2 or 3 years. I think C.J. Stroud does well in Houston. He'll do well wherever he ends up. But the team that I think that if they drafted him right now, of the realistic teams at the top, I think that the team that you drop him on, that he'll have instant success and take right off, I do believe it's the Seattle, the Seahawks. I think that's the team I would love to see surprise everyone and land him tonight. Even though they've gave the extension to Geno, I think if he drops to 5, which I don't think he will, because the Colts would be ridiculous to let that happen. But man, I would love to see Stroud in Seattle if that's the case.
That's not a bad spot. I mean, you got DK Metcalf out there, like you talked about with Walker, the running back position, great head coach, and Pete Carroll, great culture up there. That wouldn't be a bad landing spot for him. But I'm stick with the Houston Texans.
All right, next up, and by the way, Johnson Kinner Show Facebook page. That's where we're live at right now. ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel, Kinner and Kev. Check it out for those watching and hanging out with us now. Thank you for hanging out with us. But not where do you think CJ Stroud will end up, but where would you love for him to end up? We all have our favorite Buckeyes and we all know where they could potentially go. But what's that team you would just love for CJ Stroud to end up with? I said the Seahawks. Kev says the Texans at number 2. Moving on. Jackson Smith and Jigba. Kev, Jackson Smith and Jigba, of course, just like CJ Stroud has been kind of just dragged through the roller coaster of all the criticisms and all the praises throughout. But when it's all said and done, he's going to come out as one of the top wide receivers in this draft, of course. But Jackson Smith and Jigba has been projected to go to the New York Jets, to the Green Bay Packers. We've seen the Tennessee Titans be mentioned as a landing spot for him. Not where do you think he'll end up, but what's the one team that you're like, man, I really hope he ends up in that situation?
I hope he ends up with the Houston Texans as well. I think reuniting JSN and CJ Stroud with Houston, you got your 1-2 punch. People search for the quarterback of the future, and then they try to surround him with wide receivers. They try to go the route that Philadelphia went. They traded picks to go and get A.J. Brown. Well, you can go ahead and get your quarterback of the future and wide receiver of the future together right here, right now in this draft. You can get CJ at 2, and you get JSN at 12. Houston Texans, that's what I think they should do, and I think I'm hopeful that's what they will do.
So where I would love to see him end up, that's pretty realistic, is I would love to see him with the Jets. I would love the Jets to take him with that number 15 pick. I would not say the Jets a month ago. But now
I wonder what changed.
Now that Aaron Rodgers is there, I think that especially in the slot and all the talent that the weapons that Aaron Rodgers already has collectively, none of those guys individually are as good as Devontae Adams, who he played with. But in my opinion, collectively, this is the best young group of wide receivers that Aaron Rodgers has played with. And then if you add another one there, I know A-Rod's not that great with young rookie wide receivers, but I think, look, when he approved the trade to the Jets, he looked at the roster. He saw what he was working with. He knew that this wasn't going to be a veteran-led wide receiving unit. And I think that, you add this weapon to Jackson Smith and Jigba. I think he would benefit from playing with Aaron Rodgers as well, playing alongside Garrett Wilson. I think it would be fantastic to watch him with the Jets. Jets. You want to know where Mel Kiper has him?
Where?
He's dropping. In every mock draft that comes out, Kev, he started dropping over the last couple of weeks. But how about the Baltimore Ravens at number 22?
All the way down to the 20s, eh?
22 is where Jackson Smith and Jigba is where Mel Kiper has him going to playing the slot alongside Odell Beckham Jr. And then you have obviously Andrews, the tight end. Who said the Ravens don't have one?
They ain't got none yet.
They might end up with a ton of that's how this is gonna work, Kev. You have quarterback, no weapons. Now you're going to end up with all these weapons
and no quarterback.
And Huntley at quarterback. I mean,
Pro Bowler.
How about that?
Pro Bowler.
Next up, Pro Bowl quarterback. Huntley. There you go. Paris Johnson, Kev. I know offensive line is a little boring, but according to Mel Kiper, Paris Johnson going number 9 to the Chicago Bears is where he has him going. Offensive, a lot of teams picking up at the top. They're drafting because they have a lot of holes, and it's usually with the offensive line, of course. And Justin Fields would love to have Paris Johnson blocking for him up front. But not where you think he'll go, Kev, but where do you think is the best landing spot for him where he'll have the most success?
Best landing spot, the Jets. They need help on that offensive line. They just got a Hall of Fame quarterback. They want to protect that Hall of Fame quarterback so he can throw it all over the lot to all those wide receivers that he got up there in New York. And then if they able to do that, maybe they will get them another ring if they go ahead and draft Paris Johnson.
I think now some mocks I've seen have him going. The Cardinals could surprise some people who are talking about trading, but they have their quarterback. Hop is they're going to probably trade him. They're probably going to trade Hop and get an additional pick. I don't know if it'll be a first rounder, but a second round. It's tough to find very talented offensive linemen, and if you can get almost what's considered a sure thing coming out of college and have a very good offensive lineman on a rookie deal over the next 4 years, 5 years, I think you do that. I could see him end up going to the Cardinals, but the Cardinals are a disaster, so I don't really want to see him end up there. Could see. It's another situation where you also have the Seahawks there at 5 of all the teams in the mix that could potentially get him. To be fair, with offensive linemen, Kev, the only franchise that ruins offensive linemen is the Cincinnati Bengals. So to me, as long as he doesn't end up in Cincinnati, which there's no way in hell he will, I think he'll be fine pretty much anywhere. It's kind of tough, unless you're the Bengals, to mess up an offensive lineman, in my opinion.
I mean, that would I can't even talk to you. You had to. You actually been good for the first 32 minutes of the show. I just think him going to the New York Jets, a place of need, and then, you get that quarterback being Aaron Rodgers. I mean, you seen him out there already. There's pictures of him, throwing the ball around, getting acquainted with the staff and everything already, saying. So you seeing Aaron Rodgers totally bought in. The only thing missing now is a great offensive line. So you draft a great offensive lineman, a young offensive lineman. Say Aaron Rodgers does only play 2 seasons with the New York Jets. You still got Paris Johnson for whoever your next quarterback is. So I say that would be a great landing spot for him. And it'd be cool to see a Buckeye win another Super Bowl.
Kinner and Cav, NFL draft tonight. We talked about not the Cincinnati Bengals, the Ohio State Buckeyes, and where they could potentially end up here tonight. Not just where we think they could end up, but where do we think that they should go, where they will thrive the most? Jackson Smith and Jigba, C.J. Stroud, and Paris Johnson. It's going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out. It would be wild if Paris Johnson's the first Buckeye taken off the board tonight. But there's a chance that could be the case, especially if Houston passes on C.J. Stroud, which I think is going to happen according to all the reports out there. Arizona might mix it up and just take the top offensive lineman and protect the quarterback, who won't be available till November anyway. It's very weird, but we'll see what happens. Doug Toby, a Bengals fan, Kev, he says it's a hell of a lot better than messing up quarterbacks, Mr. 20 in 20 years. I mean, I get that. Adam Selzner, I see you on hold, and a couple others. We'll get to your calls in a moment. Doug Toby, I know that's a shot at me just because the offensive lineman comment, but I will say I don't know how you can get offended by that. I really don't. Your team's not good at drafting offensive linemen. It's not even an opinion. That is a fact. And it's just like when I said earlier, the New England Patriots, they cannot draft wide receivers. They are just god awful at drafting wide receivers. They cannot do it. There's something missing in their evaluation department. They can't do it. That's not a slight. That's just the reality. And New England Patriots fans aren't crying to me about it. So stop crying. Who cares? And by the way, your only claim to fame at Carson Palmer wanted to get the hell out of Cincinnati. Next up, you have Andy Dalton. Oh, you drafted Joe Burrow. Super. The Browns' weakness is drafting quarterbacks. That's why they went and got Deshaun Watson, which you guys also made fun of them for doing. You can't win with you guys, nonetheless. It's the NFL draft day. You ain't going to ruin today for me. I'm in a great mood. All right, when we come back, we'll talk a little Cincinnati Bengals when it comes to this draft. I'm a Cleveland Browns fan. Kev is a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. And, Kev, we'll talk about your Steelers, what they could potentially do with their first-round draft pick tonight. But with the Cincinnati Bengals up at 28, all right, they're projected to take Amir Gibbs, the running back from Alabama, at number 28, according to Mel Kiper. But what is a name, Kev, as a Steelers fan, that if the Bengals, who are Super Bowl contenders, they already have an embarrassment of riches, what is a name that if you hear come up tonight with the 28th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select, what is that name that will just make you say, damn? I'll tell you what name that is for me if the Bengals draft this individual tonight, and Kev will tell you his. We'll be right back. 518-1410, Adam Selzner. I promise we'll get to your call on the other side. I see a couple others of you on hold as well. We'll take your calls next. Kinner and Kev, 1410 Wing AM.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
The NBA playoffs are here, and you can turn crossovers into cash with FanDuel. Just visit FanDuel.com/Kinner, Kinner, right now and place a $5 bet, and you'll get an instant $150 back in bonus bets, win or lose. FanDuel is honestly one of the best, in my opinion, at offering so many great promotions for new and existing customers. I do have to say, though, that this deal for new customers is pretty cool. $150 in bonus bets, win or lose after placing at least a $5 bet. This is a great promotional deal for new customers. customers. There is no better place to bet all of the playoff action than America's #1 sportsbook. Just go to FanDuel.com/Kenner and sign up to get $150 in bonus bets when you bet your first $5. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. You must be 21 and older and present in Ohio. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
If you haven't been to Chevrolet of Troy, you have to stop in today. What makes us different? A state-of-the-art dealership offering experience, service, parts, and body shop. We're the only dealership in Miami County with an on-site body shop, and we make it easy with experienced, tenured professionals ready to answer your questions and diagnose your vehicle quickly. Our priority is customer service. Make Chevrolet of Troy your first choice for service, parts, and body shop. 1375 South Market Street and online at ChevroletofTroy.com.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers. Excellent pay, benefits, and a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Apply today. Online at CordellTransportation.com. Driven to succeed.
O'Reilly. Did you know 1 in 4 car batteries is weak and needs to be replaced? O'Reilly Auto Parts will test your battery for free. If your battery needs to be replaced, our professional parts people can help you find the best Superstart battery for your vehicle and budget. Don't wait. Get your battery tested for free today at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Getting to know yourself can be a lifelong process, especially since you're always growing and changing. Therapy is all about deepening that self-awareness, because sometimes you don't know what you really want until you talk things through. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist online who can take you on that journey of self-discovery from wherever you are. Visit BetterHelp.com/score to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp.com/score.
It's simple. Speedway iced coffee, any size, for $1.29, only with Speedy Rewards. Offer good through 6/27/23, plus tax. See app for details.
Whether you're at home, at work, or in your car, tune in to ESPN 1410 Wing AM or stream us live at wingam.com.
Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, back with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. 518-1410, 518-1410. That's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. It's been all NFL draft talk. The first round kicks off tonight, of course. And look, as a Browns fan, I'm a little bored with the draft. I mean, but it is what it is. And I think even Bengals fans, I think y'all are a little bit bored with the draft as well. Obviously, you have a first-round pick. There's a lot of value in those first-round picks, and there's going to be an opportunity for the Bengals to add a big-time weapon, not just for the next 4 or 5 years, but I think what's most important, I think right now the Bengals have to look at this in a couple different ways. You want to look at a piece that you can rely on for the next 4 to 5 years, which I think you can accomplish both with what I'm about to say. But also you have to kind of prioritize the now. Maybe you don't want to use a first-round pick on a running back, but you got to think about the needs that you have right now. There's 2 different ways. So Mel Kiper has the Cincinnati Bengals with their number 28 overall pick tonight to take the running back from Alabama. And that's Gibbs, Jahmyr Gibbs. Gibbs, a very good pass catcher out of the backfield, according to his rundown here and all this stuff. For those of you watching play in college, I think he would be a huge addition to the Bengals. But you're probably thinking, yeah, well, we might be losing Tyler Boyd. We plan on keeping T. Higgins. Do we need to be, maybe we should go wide receiver here just in case we lose T? You're going to lose Boyd, running backs are a little easier to come by. I mean, if you look at the running backs that are available in the free agent market right now, there's still some big names there. You could always sign Zeke for cheap, who's also a very good pass catcher to the backfield. And
pass protector as well.
Pass protector, yes. That's the one of the weaknesses for Jahmyr Gibbs is he's not a very good pass protector. And that's something that the Bengals will be looking for in their next running back as well. So could that play a role in whether they decide to pass on a running back tonight or not at number 28? Overall, I think it's a big get for him because I don't know what the negotiations are like right now when it comes to Joe Mixon. Obviously, the reports are saying they're working with him to try to take a pay decrease. I think $12.5 million a year is what he's at right now for a guy that has been not steadily, but last year definitely declined. And it's not just that he's declining. The year before, he maximized his time out on the field. The problem is that your top running back, you had him standing on the sideline for a lot of your big high leverage moments, big third downs, big crucial clutch moments in the fourth quarter. Joe Mixon wasn't out on the field. And it's like when you are now entering the space where you're going to be giving 50+ mil to a quarterback, where you're about to have 2 wide receivers, where you're going to have 2 guys north of 25 mil a year, I don't think you can gamble anymore with paying a running back $12.5 million a year who's not even productive for you in those high leverage moments. So that's what the Bengals are balancing here is that Jahmyr Gibbs is the option for them, but that's one that he's not a good pass blocker. So that would be the concern there. I'm just fascinated by all of this, Kev, to see what ends up happening with the Bengals. But I think even Bengals fans will take the winning weeks 1 through 17
right.
And a few weeks into the postseason than to be getting extra jacked for a top 10 draft pick and stuff. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's the crazy part about it. I mean, you're not hype about the draft because you guys don't have draft picks, but I keep going back to Philadelphia because their fan base has to be on fire right now.
Best of both worlds.
Best of both worlds. I'm kind of like in between because I never get like super hype about a draft because I know what my team's going to do. I always know what my team's going to do because of 30+ years of being a fan. I know what they're going to do, and it's not going to be a sexy thing. It's going to be the right thing, and ultimately that player is going to be real good, and it is what it is. But for a different fan base out there, I don't know, say you are a Houston Texans fan out there, you're in limbo. You're like, what are we going to do? Are we going to go with Will Anderson? Are we going to go get our quarterback of the future? What are we going to do with our draft pick? But this day still brings a lot of fans together. I know you're at your local restaurants having a couple beers, getting some chicken wings and everything like that to watch the draft because the draft is the third biggest moment of the NFL season. Like I said before, it's the Super Bowl, it's the entire regular season, then it's the draft. And what do you think is the bigger celebration, the combine or the schedule release?
Oh, I think that's why I love what the NFL did. I know you I've never been a big combine guy. I don't mind the combine because it's about a month after the Super Bowl. And you're kind of like, I remember that week after the Super Bowl, Kev, it was just kind of, the season's over. Crap.
Right.
So the combine's a little refreshing because it's that, okay, we're starting to build up towards the draft now. But I think the schedule, because once the draft is done, I look forward to the schedule release more. We already know the opponents,
right?
But I think it matters. Like you think that last year, we already knew who the Bengals were going to play last year. But if you remember the gauntlets in that final 2-month stretch, and I said this and it didn't come back and haunt them. They got to the AFC Championship game, and the schedule had to, I guess they could have potentially had the 1 seed where they would have been hosting ultimately. But we've seen every matchup with the Bengals, regardless whether it's in Kansas City or Cincinnati, it comes down to that final freaking play every time. So would it have helped to have it at home? Yes, but ultimately the schedule didn't impact them too much. But it was a brutal last 2 months. They had the Bills, they had the Chiefs, you had every team in the division still, and it was a tough stretch down the road. They overcame it, obviously, but that's what I'm excited about. Plus, we want to see our Monday night our primetime games. And it's rumored that the Bengals will have the most primetime games this upcoming season.
Fair enough. I mean, man, I just go back to all the primetime games, and obviously the situation with DeMar Hamlin really sucks for him. He's coming back to play and everything like that, but like that was shaping up to be potentially the game of the year.
Yep. And just the vibe, the feel. I thought it matched all the playoff games. And to be honest, I still think that Bills-Bengals matchup in the regular season, it was a big game feel when they played at Buffalo in the divisional round, but I still don't think it had the same vibe. It was a big vibe, but it didn't have the same vibe as it did when it was in Cincinnati. And I know everyone thought the Bengals were going to crush the Bills. Obviously, they had momentum to start. Cincinnati usually starts fast and then kind of slows down a bit. Keep in mind, Buffalo was moving the ball on them too. So we don't know how that game would have ended. Bengals fans swear we were going to win 105-0 that night, but that's not the case as far as that goes. But 518-1410, let's go to the phones. Adam Selzner. Adam, thank you for holding, sir. How are you?
Adam.
I swear I hear some in the back. Adam, call back, dude, and we'll get you back onto the front of the line. We'll get to the rest of the calls coming up here in a moment. All right, Kev, and again, I always say this when we talk about the AFC North. I'm a Browns fan, but when the Bengals do something, it impacts us. When the Steelers do something, it impacts the Browns and me as a Browns fan and vice versa. So we talked about the Bengals potentially taking Jahmyr Gibbs at number 28 to running back, but the Pittsburgh Steelers have the number 17 pick. I've seen so many different names float in and out of this Pittsburgh Steelers mock, picks for these mock drafts. Jackson Smith and Jigba a couple weeks ago. And they just signed, obviously, Allen Robinson from the Rams, former Bear, of course. They have the Pittsburgh Steelers taking Emmanuel Forbes, which is interesting because when this all started, it was almost a lock that the Pittsburgh Steelers were going to take Joey Porter, who went from a just outside the top 10 to a mid-first rounder to all of a sudden dropping on the way to number 23 to the Minnesota Vikings. The cornerback from Penn State, former Steeler, the son of former Steeler Joey Porter, of course. But the Steelers taking the defensive back, or going defensive back, of course, doesn't surprise me, going defense, from Mississippi State and Emmanuel Forbes. It's a great pickup, but more defense for the Steelers.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about them losing Cam Sutton to the Lions, and that was a surprise situation because I thought the Steelers were going to re-sign him. So they only have two starters left in their secondary, one being Minka Fitzpatrick, and then there's another corner out there, Witherspoon, they're still with the team. So you need to rebuild that secondary. So you need a lot of talent out there. I know they picked up Patrick Peterson to hold things down, but, Patrick Peterson's almost as old as me. So you're going to need some youth in that secondary. So I don't mind that pick at all.
All right, 518-1410, 518-1410. That's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. We'll throw a little NFL music kind of in the background. All right, I'm a Browns fan. You're a Steelers fan. The Browns don't have a first-round pick. Obviously, the Steelers, we just talked about their pick potentially in Emmanuel Forbes. They're at number 19. The Baltimore Ravens, they have the number 22 pick, Kev, and this is the one that was interesting. Jackson Smith and Jigba, the Buckeye, going to the Ravens with their number 22 pick. Obviously, they signed Odell Beckham Jr. a few weeks ago, and there's rumors that they could potentially be in the mix for DeAndre Hopkins, although Hopkins has kind of let it be known that he wants to play for Buffalo or Kansas City.
Yeah.
Don't blame him. But no, Jackson Smith and Jigba to the Ravens. What does that mean to you as a Steelers fan?
I mean, that's exactly what they need. Like, you got a home run type of wide receiver in OBJ, and then you got a guy that can work across the middle and JSN. I think that would be a great pickup for them. And then you match him up with Andrews, you working with something.
So my only problem with this is, and as a Browns fan, keep in mind, this is a big deal because I think that this is a very good receiver if they end up landing him. But this is where I'm like, I actually haven't been as anti-Ravens as most. Like, I thought after they drafted Lamar Jackson, could they have brought better weapons in from a free agent perspective? Absolutely. But every draft pick from the time he was drafted, every pick in the first and second round from the time he was drafted has been all offense, whether it be offensive line, tight end, running back, wide receiver. Mark Andrews is the sexiest name of all those that they've been able to acquire. J.K. Dobbins is right up there too. I think when people say he has no weapons, I think there's weapons, but it's not the weapon. They didn't go the route that the Bengals got Joe Burrow. Damn it, we got to get T. Higgins in the second round. Man, we got to get Jamar Chase with that number 4 pick. Oh, man, let's spend every dime we can to make sure it looks like we're protecting him. I don't really know what happened, but you see him like in the Buffalo Bills, they get Stephon Diggs. The Kansas City Chiefs, they do everything they can to put weapons around Patrick Mahomes. You look at the Eagles, they go get A.J. Brown. Providing weapons for your quarterback is crucial. The Ravens, on paper, did it in the draft. It just didn't pan out the way that they had hoped. But so stick to your guns. I've actually been anti-Ravens as far as not giving Lamar everything that he wants. With the deficiencies I see, I understand where they're coming from. It's not a favorite opinion, but that's fine. But now it looks like you're pandering. If you were good, I would respect the Ravens more, Kev, if they didn't sign Odell Beckham Jr. and they continue drafting the way that they normally do. I feel like this, after getting OBJ, now getting Jackson Smith and Jigba, now it's like you're begging Lamar to come back. I don't like them begging him to come back. I would respect you more. I would look at you as a better organization if you said, no, like the Steelers, It's the Steeler way. We have a certain way of doing things. People thought they were crazy for letting Le'Veon Bell sit out that whole season. Okay, really, you're going to risk missing the playoffs or losing in the playoffs? Imagine if you had Le'Veon Bell that year. It's the Steeler way. They believe it's the Baltimore way. The one thing I give the Steelers credit for, they don't blink. Now the Ravens are blinking. Now I think they look weak. And now I'm leaning towards the side of Lamar Jackson because I'm like, I respected them more when I was like, they're sticking to their guns. Good. Like, they're like, no, we're in charge. We're going to stick to what we have agreed upon. But now they look like they're pandering. Now they look like they're begging. Now I think they look weak. We'll see what ends up happening when it's all said.
I get what you're saying. I'm slightly on the other side. The OBJ thing, I'm with you 100% because you paid him $18 million. If you were to say, you know what, we're going to go ahead and get you weapons, but they're all going to be young weapons. They're all going to be rookie wide receivers. Matter of fact, we're going to trade up. We're going to get JSN with a 15th pick, and then we're going to trade up in the back half of the first round and get Quentin Johnson from TCU. We're going to get you 2 rookie wide receivers, a big slot guy. We still got a speed guy in Bateman. Now we got a big physical guy on the outside and Quentin Johnson. Those are 3 first-round picks at wide receiver. To me, that makes a lot of sense because, hey, here's your weapons. Now here's your check. Now go play football. What do you have to complain about? We just got you 3 weapons and you got paid. You have nothing to complain about anymore. I would respect that more than going to get OBJ. I still don't understand the OBJ thing because that's $18 million that could have been going in your quarterback's pocket.
Or you could have got 2 mid-level wide receivers that I think will be more productive together than OBJ, which you're gambling on. Now, OBJ could pan out. Great, super. But, I mean, my gosh, outside of that little run in the playoffs for the Rams, I mean, OBJ has not been OBJ for a very, very long time. So there's that.
Like I always
I've been
say.
telling you that for years.
Like I always say, go dig up the tape. And I said the exact same thing. And I think you were sitting in that chair at that time, and you were telling me how crazy I was. Kev, you're wrong, Kev. You're wrong.
I think there's mold on that side of the room. I've been thinking a lot clearer since I got on this side. Yeah, it's fine. Let's just be clear. All right, last thing as we wrap up the hour. Steelers fan, Browns fan. The Bengals have the number 28 overall pick. Look, I like to take shots at the Bengals, but I can't deny how loaded they are talent-wise. And it's interesting watching the different mock drafts, the different names that have floated in and out for the Cincinnati Bengals, who to take at 28. Kev, at number 28, when they say with the 28th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select, what is a name that if that comes out of Roger Goodell's mouth, that you'll be like, damn it, that stinks for us. What's that name for you?
So I know where you're going to go. So I went and grabbed 2 guys. I went and grabbed 2 guys that I would be saying, oh, no, that's not good for us. I would say one would be Bijan Robinson, because if he falls to the Cincinnati Bengals, or if the Bengals are crazy enough to trade up to grab him, that's a bad look. That's a bad look for a lot of people in the AFC North, because you talk about the quarterback of the future, you talk about wide receiver of the future, they got their running back right now if they get Bijan Robinson, because I like Jahmyr Gibbs, but Bijan Robinson is just better, just flat out better. So if the Bengals get him, it's scary hours. And then the second guy, not a sexy name, but Broderick Jones, the offensive tackle out of Georgia, because they already spent money on their left tackle. Now they trade up or get Broderick Jones for the right tackle. We already know everything going on with Jonah Williams.
Yep.
So he's in and out. He's mad and everything like that. Well, fine, be mad. We'll go get a new guy in the draft and boom, plug him in. And then say, okay, you come in there and compete, and if Broderick Jones is good and takes that right tackle spot, then we kick him on the inside to a guard spot. I mean, you got big boys. You're talking huge 350, 380 dudes on the offensive line. So now you're going to get that protection. Now you're really going to get that run game going. So it would be those 2 dudes for me, because I know where you're going.
Well, by the way, if the Cincinnati Bengals, they draft an offensive lineman with that pick, this will be my reaction. My thing is know your strengths. This is why the Bengals, to me, and by the way, this isn't a reflection of who that you talked about, that great offensive. He could be great, and he probably is great, but every offensive lineman, to the Bengals' credit, that they've drafted over the last however many years, they're very, very good in college. Like Jonah Williams wasn't a bad draft pick. They've gotten a lot of really good guys out of college, and I'm like, oh, that's not a bad pick, but they don't pan out because it's the Cincinnati Bengals, and they just, I don't know what they do or what they don't do. You could take this as, hey, I swear it's not, because we would be talking, if we were talking Patriots and drafting wide receivers, or the Browns and drafting quarterbacks, I'd be saying the same thing about them. So I think that the Bengals have had a big time, like, come to Jesus moment over the last couple of years, and it's been proven in free agency, Kev. Look at all the money between Lyle Collins, between Kappa, between Karras, between now going out and getting Orlando Brown. I don't think they draft an offensive lineman in the first round because of that. Like, they're telling you, okay, screw it. We can't draft. We can't develop these dudes. We got to go get guys that already know what the hell they're doing because we clearly don't when it comes to the offensive line. Pollock's a great offensive line coach, but obviously, I don't know. He's just not pushing the right buttons this second term with the Cincinnati Bengals, so who knows? Bottom line is, lean into your weaknesses, and they've done that by spending money on the offensive line, which I applaud them for that. I thought it was always the cheap, lazy route of the Bengals in years past to say, you know what? We have Joe Burrow. We're going to put our future at risk by just putting a bunch of young offensive linemen in front of him and hoping for the best. I think they're doing the responsible thing now by spending money on the O-line as opposed to drafting young guys and putting the fate of their franchise quarterback on the line week in and week out. So I'm not worried about that. The name that I'm the most terrified about, for one, it was Bijan Robinson for a long time. I will say if they draft a running back in the first round, I think that's an oh damn for me as a Browns fan in the AFC North, because I think that 2 years ago it was Joe Mixon was a top 5 running back as Joe Burrow and company. They made that Super Bowl run, of course, but they kind of balanced one another out. Last year, we saw the deficiencies with the offense when the run game couldn't complement the pass game. I think now, third year for Jamar Chase, fourth year for T. Higgins, fourth year for Joe Burrow, and the continuity with the coaching staff. If you drop a productive running back in there, and Pirine was solid, but I think the two running backs that they could potentially get, Bijan Robinson or Gibbs from Alabama, I think they become stars right off the bat just because of all the defensive attention that's going to be given to the pass game and the respect there. So that's an oh damn for me. But the biggest oh damn, the name that if the Bengals draft tonight that'll get me to say words that I can't say on the radio is if somehow this name drops back or they trade up Michael Mayer, the tight end out of Notre Dame. That terrifies the hell out of me because like I've always said, when they got Irv Smith and everyone's like, well, you can get better tight ends in this offense. You don't need the tight end though. Like Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Boyd, focus on, that's why they're spending all the money there. And they've never had an elite tight end, but man, if you get that elite tight end, you can't just ignore him.
Right.
And now all of a sudden you just have weapons from the right side to the left side. Got a good run game behind you. Maybe that offensive line looks like the real deal this upcoming season, but the bottom line is the tight end, Michael Mayer from Notre Dame, he scares the hell out of me if he goes to Cincinnati, because look at Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. Now, that blossomed even when they had Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
It's not like Kelce just emerged as a star because Hill left. It was all balanced. Cincinnati would be balanced, but man, that gives the Bengals so much freedom. That's why I think if you are them, you don't pay T. You don't pay T. Higgins. I think you trade up, you find a way to get Michael Mayer. Now you have an elite pass catcher, Jamar Chase. You have an elite tight end, potentially Michael Mayer. You get a good, strong run game. And the money the $25 million a year to T. Higgins, Kev, how many offensive linemen can you get with that? How many pieces on defense could you keep? I know they want T. Higgins. I don't think they need T. Higgins, but we'll see what ends up happening. But I do not want them to get the tight end from Notre Dame and Michael Mayer.
Weapons.
Kenner and Kev, 1410 Wing AM. We'll be right back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Meet Joe A, Joe B, and Joe C.
What's up?
3 everyday Joes perfecting their banking with Chase. Joe A is locking his lost debit card with the Chase mobile app. Joe B is cruising toward his new ride with AutoSave. And Joe C's Chase banker is helping him budget to go back to school. Tools that help protect. Support for what's next. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase. Make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Messaging and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
Yes, we do have availability. Those dates for how many guests?
Andrea's Boutique Hotel is the destination to tie the knot.
Oh, you want the whole property?
She needs an assistant to catch the bookings bouquets.
249 guests, huh? And 3 dogs.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
I'm Howard Mackler, founder of Innovation Refunds. You've heard me talking about the payroll tax refund for months. If you own a business, even if you've asked your CPA about this, you owe it to yourself to take another look. We provide a licensed and insured tax attorney who evaluates your company at my expense to determine eligibility. Businesses of all types can qualify, so go to getrefunds.com to potentially get a payroll tax refund of up to $26,000 per employee. Download the Innovation Refunds app or go to getrefunds.com, getrefunds.com.
Yeah, I'm so stressed. Our business is growing. We've got people all over now.
Ooma.
What is that? Meditation?
I'm recommending the Ooma cloud phone system with auto attendant and more than 50 features.
Ooma?
Yep. Switching to Ooma is a cinch. Just $24.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Now you're feeling it. Find small business calm at ooma.com/radio. That's OOMA.com/radio.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
Discover credit cards do something awesome at the end of your first year. They automatically double all the cash back you've earned. That's right. Everything you've earned doubled. See terms and check it out for yourself at discover.com/match.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry's starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover. All for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter code TRUST at checkout. That's harrys.com, code TRUST. Enjoy.
All sports, all the time. This is 1410 ESPN Radio.
Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, back with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
I need your help.
What you need help with? And by the way, for just joining us, Kinner and Kev, 1410 Wing AM, back with you live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. If you just missed it, Kev Nash said he needs my help. What do you need help with?
I need your help. So, in the market to get a new TV, and you know, TVs are not as expensive as they used to be, but so we just saw a deal at Best Buy, a 70-inch for like $430. The wife says, "Cool, you sure you don't want this 75-inch TV?"
If you're gonna go big, dude.
Oh my gosh. But the TV in the living room is already 55 inches. So obviously that TV now transitions to the bedroom. And I'm thinking to myself, like, man, it's a big TV in the bedroom, dude.
And so that matters too, because we used to have a big TV in the room, and then like I need the TV on at night when I'm going to sleep, but it's like too bright.
Exactly.
So we have like a small TV now so that it could be on in the background and it's not just lighting up the entire house or whatever. So that's something. But she wants to get one for the room.
No.
That means you ain't doing your job at home if she wants a big ass TV.
No. I'm saying the 75-inch TV will be in the living room, and then we would take the 55-inch that's in the living room and put that in the bedroom. I'm just thinking to myself, like, that's a big TV in the bedroom, dude.
It is. Remember the 55-inch TVs? That used to be like, man, if your friend gets one of those, that's where you're going to watch the Super Bowl. That's where you're going to watch the big games. Now those are like,
put those in your kids' rooms.
Put in the bathroom, whatever. So we'll see what. But that is what. And by the way, that's always like. By the way, are you one of those, or your wife? Are you guys one of those where when you go buy something like that, where you spend forever research? I'm not. I'm like, give me that one. Give me that.
No. I mean, come on, man.
Reckless, but we know the brands.
Yeah. Like, you're right. I mean, like, they're all made the same. Like, you get your name brand and you get your policy on it, because if it breaks down, you can return it and everything like that. No, I'm not spending forever on that. Like, no. My uncle used to do that. Like, no, dude. Like, it's a TV, man. It'll be fine.
My wife will have like 85 tabs up, 85 different TVs. Well, this one has this and this one has that. I'm like, and that one's cheap. So that one. Just because we work in radio, make all his money, just go around getting any old TV you want.
Big Bang Hank. And my second question is, I guess this isn't for you. This is for our listening audience. I'm going to need some help hanging this bad boy on the wall. So if any companies out there want to give us a call and, help me hang the TV on the wall, I would greatly
pain
appreciate
in the
it.
ass.
Yes, I'd put the TV in the bedroom on the wall myself. It's only crooked if you look at it a certain way. But since I'm going to get a 75-inch TV, it's going to be done by the pros. So any professionals out there, holla at me.
So we got I think it's 65 or 7. I think it's 65. When we bought our house a year ago, we put that baby right up over the mantle and all that. The people who we bought it from, they didn't even have a TV in the living room, like total animals. I mean, my gosh, what is wrong with you? And so like we go to put the mount in and everything, and it's all because it's where the fireplace is. So it's all brick.
Okay.
I'm like, oh crap, my little Walmart drill here ain't gonna do a whole hell of a lot now. So, but luckily I have friends that know what the hell they're doing. So they all came over and they put it up for me. And I'm like, I'm panicking though, because like when you put the TV on, they're like, all right, you can let go. I'm like, I can't. I don't want to let go. I'm nervous. And then you walk away, but now that thing pops all the way out. Like you could like pull. So I sit out on the deck, smoke cigars. I pull the TV out from the wall and just tilt it. And I just sit out there, smoke cigars, watch the Reds, have a good old time. So
okay.
Nonetheless, let's see. Mark Smith, he says, simple man, just get me a 12-pack.
All right, Mark. I'll hit you up.
I remember when Mark called in for the first time, he was hammered.
By the way, Mark, you're going to have to put up a new TV mount in my bedroom as well. It's not just the living room. It's going to be 2. So
he was hammered. Did you not hear what I said? I would not trust him.
As long as he's not hammered when he's putting my TV on the walls.
So that's your form of payment? Is that what you're saying, Mark? And Mark, I ain't judging you, by the way. I was jealous that day.
What you drinking, Mark?
Yeah, like that's like people are like, man, you're calling your listeners alcoholics. No, I'm saying, why didn't you invite me? That's really what it comes down to. But no, Mark Smith, and love Mark. He comes out to shows. When we did our food drive, he came out, dropped some stuff off. Mark's a good dude, very loyal listener. He's a Bengals fan, and yet somehow still tunes in every day. So I appreciate that. But the first time he called in, Kev, I think it was with you. We're making eye contact. We're like, this guy's not making any sense.
Was it?
He was slurring his word. Oh yeah, I love Mark. Mark's a good dude. I'll never forget that. But
summer must have been the summertime.
Dustin Taylor, he goes, he's an impulsive buyer here too. He says he's an impulsive buyer as well.
Let's do it.
So no, Mark Smith, he's the opposite. He goes, Google the brand and look at the reviews, Kevin.
Oh yeah. We're not going out like that.
Kevin.
It's a Samsung.
Yeah, that's what we have.
Samsung. So I most the 2 TVs I have in the house now, LG, I believe. Yeah, 2 LGs. So yeah, but I mean, 75 inches for $450. I mean, you can't beat that.
Yeah. See now, Sean Matthew with his negativity.
What's up?
He's saying probably has crappy resolution or is a crappy brand.
Samsung's good.
He said I think he had sent this before you said Samsung. We just said that. But no, TVs are significantly cheaper than they used to be.
Yeah. I haven't had a Samsung since like college. I had the VCR combo with a Samsung back in college. So yeah, I haven't had it one since then, but I've only had LG since then.
So those mounts, like once they're in, they ain't coming out. Like I know when we bought the house, there was still stuff in there. The mount was up in one of the rooms. And I said, hey, by the way, y'all could take the furniture out, but like leave that mount in there. We'd like that mount left on there. And then we just put this mount in the concrete or in the brick where the fireplace is on the other side. And with as painful as that was to put that in, that's staying with the house when we sell it. Whenever that time comes, the new buyers, they will get a awesome big ass just mount right there above the mantle so they can put their TV there. So there's that. Sean Matthews said, Samsung is a good brand. Oh, old school with the VCR combo. Nice.
Yeah, man. Good times. Good times. I know I totally derailed the segment, but I need help.
No. It's totally fine.
Need help.
Speaking of the VCR, I found a bunch of tapes from like high school and stuff, like all sports and all that. And then on there was Michael Jordan's last game.
You have that on VHS as well?
VHS tape with the
Who did they play?
Wizards playing the 76ers.
Yes, they did.
And
I'm so proud of you.
Collins took him out. I mean, usually I'm watching, like, me, big movie guy. I'm probably watching some big movie, But I remember Collins took him out, and the crowd was like, put him back in. Like, he sat with like 7 minutes to go. The 7 most boring minutes of basketball.
They just stared at
7
him.
minutes after MJ, went back to the bench with the Wizards. But they were playing the Sixers with Allen Iverson and everyone. So, yeah. Don't test me.
I'm proud of you.
I knew that.
Normally, when I ask you these type of questions, you have no clue.
I mean, but it's not every day that the second greatest player of all time retires, and you have to get it on VHS. I'm just
Iverson didn't retire that
day. So Justin Smith, he verifies that the Samsung is a solid brand. All of his TVs are. He said he's never had a problem with any of them. Make sure it's a smart TV, he said.
Oh, absolutely, got to be.
He's a big Steelers fan. He's also a big Pirates fan. The Pirates have the best record in the National League. How about that?
Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Jackson Smith and Jacob Brothers plays for the Pirates, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I learned that on opening day when I was a little bit hammered and saying, hey, I know that name. That him?
Got time.
What is happening today? NFL draft tonight. We talked a little bit ago with him being a Steelers fan, me being a Browns fan. What is that one name that we just do not like? If the Bengals take tonight, and I'm using the Bengals mainly because that's a Super Bowl contending team that has an embarrassment of riches, especially on the offensive side of the ball. That I'm like, man, they're projected to take a running back tonight, but if they get that tight end Michael Mayer, let's say, so you did not say Michael Mayer. But
no, I only said that because I knew that's who you were going to say.
say.
So I kind of like went a different direction and said Bijan Robinson if he falls in the draft, or you know how running backs are devalued. So like if he falls to the Bengals, that's scary hours. And then also they get Broderick Jones to hold down the right tackle spot because they already went and got the offensive lineman from Kansas City as well in the free agency period. So that would shore up their offensive line. So Joe Burrow with protection for a change. I'll
believe it when I see it. I'll believe it when I see it, as far as that's concerned. I'm also wondering, too, if Jonah Williams, if a trade gets done before the draft today or at any point throughout the weekend, do the Bengals try to, the thing is, he's not very good. Jonah Williams isn't very good. And it's not to the point to where you can get, like when they talk about trading him, the Bengals should have traded him by now to get value. He's not good. Like, I don't know what value you're going to get. Now, again, everything has a value technically, so you'll get some draft picks, and you might get a fifth, a sixth.
Probably like a fifth.
I don't know. But if that is the case, then just move on from him, get that fifth, and go on with your day. I'm just curious. I wonder if they do make a move with him, if they get that deal done. Here's some veteran players, Kev, that Adam Schefter has put out to kind of keep an eye on as far as possible draft day trades are concerned. Chase Young, former Buckeye.
Mm-hmm.
The Commanders announced yesterday, I believe, that they are not going to pick up the fifth-year option on him.
Right.
Why? Injury prone? Why?
Injuries. He's been injured basically the last 2 seasons. And during that time, he's played like 11 games and had 1 sack. Had a great rookie season, but that injury caught up to him. So yeah, they declined to pick up that 5th-year option on Chase.
I'm thinking a team like, look, when you're the Cleveland Browns and you have that 3rd round pick, maybe third's too high. I don't know. But if I'm the Cleveland Browns, I'm kicking the tires on that. I'm kicking the tires on that. You could still pick up, he's not going to cost a ton of money up front. And that's just another big time pass rusher that if he's healthy right there. But that 3rd round pick, if you have a guy in mind, then use it for that guy for the Cleveland Browns. But if not, I would dangle that out there to potentially get him. I get why the Browns are going to go after D-Hop or anything like that, but Chase Young's young. You could have him for a long time still, and you could not play him alongside, or you could have him as one of your pass rushers. Obviously, I want the Browns are listed as a team that could potentially land him.
That would be a great move for the Cleveland Browns to use a 3rd round pick to get him. Obviously, Chase isn't in their plans. The Commanders' plans for the long-term future doesn't mean he wouldn't be a great fit for the Browns, because let's not forget he was the 2nd overall draft pick. He was the best defensive player in college football his junior year at Ohio State.
He was drafted in 20, right after Burrow.
Yeah,
he was drafted right
Burrow,
after Burrow.
Chase, Okudah, 3 Buckeyes in a row. And then OH, baby. And
Go Tigers. Go Tigers.
And if he's able to recover from those knee injuries and return to form, you got him on one side and Myles Garrett on the other.
So Mark Smith brought up a good point. He said, Chase, he's the one that put Burrow out. I say, don't pay him ever. I say, that's why you make him a Cleveland Brown right there. That's why. That's the Cleveland Brown way, right? That's why I appreciate it. But no, Jody Van Winkle, a Bengals fan, he says, Jonah for Chase. I don't see that happening. I see why. I think if the Commanders move Chase, it's for draft picks. It's not to get like another player in return. The NFL, you don't really see player for player swaps.
No.
Like I can't, I'm sure it's happened, but not regularly. And if it is a player for player, it's usually a cash dump with the player, but that's complemented by picks.
Yeah.
But the Chase Young thing, keep an eye on as far as tonight's veteran players to watch for a possible draft day. And again, third round's not till, obviously later, so you don't have to worry about it tonight. But some of these names are big. DeAndre Hopkins is a name that Pac-Man Jones on the Pat McAfee show,
the YouTube show,
brought up that DeAndre Hopkins, like his sources are saying a trade will be announced today. Like that there's, and he hasn't said who his sources are or anything like that, but the Bills and the Chiefs are the two teams that are the favorites to land him. I will say this. Love the Bengals wide receiving core. I think it complements Burrow perfectly. And the Cincinnati Bengals have the best quarterback wide receiver combo or unit, however you want to word that, in the league. If the Bills get, DeAndre Hopkins, I think that they do. I think if you have Stephon Diggs and DeAndre Hopkins, I think that's the best 1-2 punch in football. I think
Gabe Davis still.
Yeah, I think the Bengals have it with their three right now. Steelers aren't terrible. One of those three, Kev, has to pop off. Like they have to be like you have a number one, but that number one, how's he stack up against the Hopkins and against the Chases and guys like that? He's not there yet. But the Steelers depth-wise, and that's one of the most well-rounded wide receiving units in the NFL. But man, if the Chiefs get him, it's not a great wide receiving unit, but you have great weapons with Hopkins and Kelsey, of course. But with the Bills, if you have Stephon Diggs and him on the field at the same time, I mean, my goodness, that to me trumps Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. And by the way, don't take that as a slam. The Bengals aren't losing sleep at night because they don't have those two. They're just fine with the unit that they have. But that'll be interesting.
D-Hop?
I think he's 31, 32. And have a lot left in the time. But I think if you get him, you probably get 1-2 more years of elite hop before it starts to just be like that Fitzgerald, where you're just a good target here and there.
Right.
We'll see what happens there.
I really think that if he does go to the Buffalo Bills, I think it's the Gabe Davis that will push them over the top, being the third receiver in that bunch. I think just he'll be a better third receiver than basically anybody in football.
So they can go that route, or the other report that came out today is the Bills could potentially be a sneaky landing spot for Austin Eckler.
Really?
Austin Eckler the Bills have been trying to find a very good, consistent.
Are they going to use him?
And their excuse is they haven't had a run game that they respect. I wonder who did Mel Kiper have them take with this mock draft, because they had Bijan Robinson going to Buffalo. For many of these, so they're going defense now, according to Mel Kiper. Will McDonald, the linebacker from Iowa State.
Okay.
So, but they've had the Bills taking a running back. But again, I think the stock of Bijan Robinson is just skyrocketed.
Yeah.
Especially with the Eagles' interest in him as well. But anyways, we won't spend too much time on all this, but Trey Lance could potentially be moved. Austin Eckler, interesting one right there. Devin White, the linebacker. That's one that you can keep an eye on, especially that name is interesting to keep an eye on. Budda Baker's another one. The Cardinals are starting over without starting over. You're moving on from Hop, you're moving on from Budda Baker. You got some names you're moving on from.
Yeah, I heard that the Bengals and Philly very connected to Budda Baker.
Stay away, Bengals. Stay away. So Budda Baker, you put him above Jesse Bates.
Yes.
Significantly higher, to where you could justify not keeping a homegrown Bates and then bringing in Budda.
Budda Baker is more of a
cool name.
Yeah, definitely. He doesn't play Jesse Bates' position. Jesse was a free safety. So you basically be replacing Bell with Budda Baker, and Budda Baker is better than Von Bell at the strong safety spot.
Let's see. Going down back to the comment section. Mark Smith. He goes, the reason I got cut from the show is because I let the F-bomb slip. Well, that'll do it, Mark. That'll do it. That's a quick way to get.
Dun, 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 dun.
Jody Van Winkle says,
breaking news. Oh, we can't do that. We can't do that, can we?
No, we can do breaking news. What we got here? Hold on, is it NFL?
Yes.
All right, hold on. Let's do the, is it draft related?
It is not draft related.
All right, well, hold on. Let me guess. Because I don't know. So who's it involved?
As soon as I say the team, you're going to know who I'm talking about. It's in the AFC North.
Oh, does it involve Lamar Jackson?
Correct.
Oh, well, let's hear it. Breaking news.
Ian Rappaport. You know what? I should have clicked on this because, Twitter's not the same Twitter as before.
I hope you got duped, dude. It's
if
awesome.
I did, I'm going to be so mad. Go to break because now I'm mad. Wait a minute. It has 4 million followers. It looks like Ian Rappaport's real Twitter. It's verified. Not that that matters anymore. But sources, Lamar Jackson and the Ravens have agreed to terms. He has his deal. That's according to Ian Rappaport. See, Twitter, you suck. Because I don't even know if this is real yet. Wait. Josina Anderson, one lead source, told me that the deal between the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson will get done today. But I don't know if these are the real accounts because you know how like people like put a M on the end of somebody's name that ends with N and everything like that.
Change it up.
And they if I got duped, I'm gonna be so mad.
I've seen it from a couple. This ML football account. There has been major progress between Lamar and the Ravens. A source close to Jackson told Jay Glazer that if there are no hiccups, the deal could be done very, very soon. But this was an hour ago, and now those tweets coming out now mean that could potentially be done. Bottom line is, it does sound like Lamar went from asking for a trade out, but like I think the hints were there. You don't go get OBJ if you're not close to a deal with Lamar. And now all of a sudden, I think if Hopkins, we were just talking about him, maybe that opens the door for that, as far as that goes. I found it interesting. So Jody Van Winkle, Kev, he just messaged into the show. He goes, the Browns are messing up by not securing DeAndre Hopkins. Hopkins is being brought up for the Bills, being brought up for the Chiefs, and even for the Baltimore Ravens, mainly because Lamar said, hey, go get OBJ, go get Hopkins, and then we could talk. Well, they got one of two, overpaid drastically for one, in my opinion. But wouldn't that be something, Kev? You couldn't get Hop because you overpaid OBJ. That's what you guys get. Let's just put it that way. Let me answer Jody Van Winkle real quick. I don't think the Browns are messing up. I would love them to go get Hopkins, but you're going to get Hopkins for a 1 to 2 year window over a very young Amari Cooper who still has another 4 to 5 years of being a very, very good wide receiver in this league. Hopkins will be very good, but significantly more expensive. I don't think you get Hopkins at the expense of keeping Amari Cooper past this upcoming season. I think that Cooper you can keep around with obviously Donovan Peoples-Jones, and they're going to have some playmakers there. But I think you lose that flexibility. This is the thing when you pay your quarterback, you don't. This is why I'm just flabbergasted that the Bengals are talking about paying Burrow, T, and Jamar. You just can't. It hasn't been proven that could be done. So we'll see what happens. But I love Hop in Cleveland, yes, but not Hop in Cleveland for 1 year at the expense of keeping a good core young receiver group together for 4 to 5. That's kind of where I'm at with
Fair enough. So this is the one I'm going to believe the most. The Baltimore Ravens verified account with the gold thing on it now they just simply tweeted out an 8 ball.
Hey, wait, what?
the 8 ball.
Oh,
he wears number 8.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if that was like an Urban Dictionary thing. I don't know. I was like kind of nervous. I'm like, what are we doing? What's going on? So I don't know. It's, by the way, the AFC North. The AFC North.
Why you do this to me, Lamar?
And now Kevin, his team, has the worst quarterback in the AFC North. Sorry, Pro Bowl. I can't believe they're going to disrespect Huntley like this. That's a Pro Bowl quarterback, man. We'll be right back. Kenner and Cav, 1410 Wing AM.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
Our forecast calls for a chance of showers at 52 tonight, rain Friday and 65. Chance of showers and 67 on Saturday. I'm Rick Schremp for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Finding great people to hire can be like trying to find a needle in a haystack. but not with ZipRecruiter. Their powerful matching technology delivers so many qualified candidates, it's like finding a needle in a needle stack. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. For less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
I studied Spanish in college and never got fluent. But then I tried Babbel.
Want the most effective way to learn another language? In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel's bite-sized lessons will have you learning another language in as little as 3 weeks.
Babbel gets you speaking quickly about things you actually talk about in the real world.
University studies have shown that using Babbel for 15 hours is equivalent to a semester of college Spanish. If you want to learn a new language, there's no better way than Babbel. Go to Babbel.com to try Babbel for free. That's BABBEL.com.
$5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right. My friends at Cordell Transportation are now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers with excellent work history. If that's you, apply now. Cordell Transportation offers home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight, and brand new equipment, plus a $5,000 sign-on bonus paid over 18 months, paid orientation, and company 401k with company match. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's. So thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover. All for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter code TRUST at checkout. That's harrys.com, code TRUST. Enjoy.
Want to feed your family without breaking the bank? Take a trip to Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken and pick up a 16-piece family meal at a great price. With 16 pieces of our classic honey-dipped, hand-breaded Famous Recipe Chicken, 4 craveable large sides, and 8 fluffy biscuits. It's affordable eats done right. Treat your crowd to the best for less with a Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken 16-piece family meal. Only at Lee's. Famous for chicken.
Why? Just think about it. Why is the #1 selling brand of chainsaws not sold at Lowe's or the Home Depot? We can give you over 10,000 reasons. That's how many authorized local steel dealers you can find across the country. Visit one and you'll find a range of dependable gas and battery-powered tools, from trimmers to blowers. And you'll find service from experienced professionals. Real steel. Find yours at steelusa.com. Lowe's and Home Depot are trademarks of their respective companies.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
This is Keith Byers for Superbook Sports. You spend valuable time thinking about which bets to place each week. So why wouldn't you want the best company in the business to be the one who handles those bets? Superbook Sports is the most trusted name in Las Vegas, and it's now live right here in Ohio for all your sports wagering needs. Superbook has a team of dedicated odds makers behind the counter in Las Vegas setting all the prices. We're talking about guys with decades of experience showing you why Superbook has the best odds around. And right now, you can look ahead to Hockey and Hoops postseason and place a bet on who you think will take home the title. So download the Superbook Sports app or visit superbook.com to wager and win today. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problems? Call 1-800-589-9966. Call 1-800-589-9966. Gambling problems? Call 1-800-589-9966. Call 1-800-589-9966.
Discover credit cards do something awesome at the end of your first year. They automatically double all the cash back you've earned. That's right. Everything you've earned doubled. See terms and check it out for yourself at discover.com/match.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin. This is Matt Crowder live at the gas station on 41st Street, reporting on those skyrocketing gas prices. Excuse me, miss, are you buying less gas now because of the high prices?
Oh, I never pay full price for gas anymore. I just use the free Upside app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute, are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Upside app?
Yes, I get real cash back every time I buy gas.
Well, does that actually add up to anything?
I've made around $200.
Wow. Well, there you have it. Stop paying full price for gas. Download the free Upside app and get real cash back every time you buy gas. This is Matt Crowder Radio News Network. Download the free Upside app now to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code LANE for an extra 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or any gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code LANE for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code LANE.
Random conversations during the break. Please confirm. Victor Newman from the stories or soap operas, depending on who you talk to, he was in the Titanic. The movie The Titanic, not the actual Titanic. He old. He ain't that old. Right?
I'm looking that up now because I've only seen him on The Young and the Restless. I've never seen him in anything else. I wonder what his real name is anyway.
Victor Newman. Victor Newman. That's what it goes by. Or the guy from his name is Victor Newman, or the guy from the Titanic. So there's that. Random conversations during the break. Kevin and I talk about soap operas and stories and stuff. You guys, there you go. All right. Well, Kev's looking that up.
He was in the Titanic.
Told you. You know me, big movie buff, dude. I told you.
Wow.
Just throwing it out there. No, Lamar Jackson, according to ESPN on this tweet that does have the yellow check mark, a check mark, however, Lamar Jackson and the Ravens have a deal. What the hell? Okay. I'm tired. The NFL needs to get their stuff together. This is like the New York Jets in the Green Bay trade. Remember when he announced that he was going to be a Jet and then they didn't talk for 6 weeks and then finally got done? Same thing here. Lamar Jackson and the Ravens have a deal that will get done. So it's not done, but it will get done. I feel like this tweet could have been broke 3 years ago with the way things are trending. But nonetheless, this is the new NFL reporting now. Breaking news, a deal will be done in the very near future. All right, well, break it then. But this is big deal. It doesn't matter whether it's done or not. The fact is that there seems to be a deal.
5-year deal. 5-year
there
deal.
is a deal. I'm so confused.
It isn't. Is Lamar Jackson on his IG for the next 5 years? I'll be running the flock. Go flock.
All right, so that's interesting. So 5 years for the next 5 years. So that's the extension that Jalen Hurts just got. Jalen Hurts got an extension that has made him, as of now, until we know the numbers, the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. $51 million a year. $179 million of that was guaranteed. Kev, is Lamar over or under Jalen Hurts as far as that number is concerned?
Over. I'll cheat it because I'm looking at it.
I didn't know it was out. That's
no,
awesome.
It's
Okay,
not
good,
out.
good,
It's not out. Just according to Ian Rappaport, once Jalen Hurts' deal got done, Baltimore stepped up and offered him a deal that trumped it.
All right, Cincinnati Bengals is what I'm talking about. He's sitting there like, this is what I mean. The reason the Ravens took so long to get this done is because Lamar said he wanted something that they didn't want to give him. And then that's what led to this. Now, luckily, it got done for Lamar. Cool. But that's what, like, everyone that's like, oh, Kenner, stop. The Bengals are not done. They're gonna do everything they can to keep him. Maybe they will, because Lamar, by the way, if Lamar and the Ravens would have been the first team, the Ravens would have been the first team ever to have a megastar that they just couldn't get a deal done with, and off you move. Like, we've seen teams trade guys.
Right.
But we've never seen a deal just not get done. So, yes, the Bengals will get a deal done with Joe Burrow, but I've been sitting back telling Bengals fans, pipe down about the Lamar Jackson situation in Baltimore, because you have no clue what you're talking about, and you have no idea what could happen during the negotiation with Burrow and Cincinnati. Because the thing is obviously what led to this, Lamar Jackson wanted something, Baltimore didn't want to give it to him. Boom. It led to all that conflict. Right. Joe Burrow and his camp clearly want something that the Bengals have said, nah, can't do that. Here's the best we can do. And then it's like watching Pawn Stars. It's like, the best I could do is this. It's a negotiation. Every team does it. I get that. But I'm just laughing because the Baltimore Ravens, they've at least won multiple Super Bowls with Joe Flacco and I forget the
Trent
other guy's
Dilfer.
name. Trent Dilfer. They win Super Bowls. They win all the time. The Bengals don't. So the Bengals aren't in the driver's seat. I still think, I know you don't agree, but I still felt like the Ravens, Lamar had leverage, but I think the Ravens didn't have equal leverage, but I think it was pretty balanced with the leverage. I think both were like well respected at what they do, although the Ravens looked a little iffy at times. The Bengals don't have leverage here. Like, whatever Joe Burrow wants, you give him, because Cincinnati's had Andy Dalton at quarterback that's taken him to playoffs. Okay, super. Cincinnati was never as big of a brand then, making the playoffs 5 straight years, and what they've been making it to the AFC title game in a Super Bowl over the last 2 years. So to me, Cincinnati get the deal done, because every time Mike Brown and that front office thinks that they're the smartest man in the room, quarterbacks keep getting paid, and then that number keeps getting reset. So that's what's wild to me, Kev. I think, Joe Burrow is going to probably be the last one paid out of everyone. I think Justin Herbert gets done soon too, but I do not think, Kev, that Burrow in Cincinnati, that it's going to be a smooth thing. I could be wrong. We'll talk about that later. Back to this. This is a big deal for the NFL. It's a big deal for Lamar Jackson, the Ravens. Huge. Who won this?
They both won because they got their quarterback. They kept the quarterback that they traded up to get. They kept their franchise quarterback, and probably also you got to think about like what Lamar is going to get. So according to Ian Rappaport, whatever deal that Jalen Hurts got, he's getting more. So to me, that screams that he's going to get the $200 million guaranteed that he was looking for. Not a fully guaranteed contract, but he's going to get that number.
200 fully guaranteed.
I think he's going to get 200 fully guaranteed. Because, I mean, if you're talking about Trump, and I mean, I'm trying to find the Jalen Hurts thing. I think Jalen Hurts was like 180 guaranteed or something like that.
179. Yep.
So, yeah.
180.
Yeah. So 180 guaranteed. So if you're trumping it, that's how you trump it. Like, all right, we're going to give you more guaranteed dollars, but maybe they bump it up to $260 million fully, well, not fully guaranteed, but that's the whole contract or whatever. You get $200 million fully guaranteed and you move forward. And to jump back to the Bengals situation, you keep messing around, this number is just going to keep going up and up and up. And this is the same thing I've been saying for, I don't know, when did Dak get his deal? Like 2 years ago?
Yep.
Yeah, I've been saying that the longer you wait, more you're going to spend. It's just as simple as that, man. And for me, I always get frustrated when these type of situations happen. So I'll revert it back to the team that I follow closely, the Pittsburgh Steelers. When TJ Watt was going through his contract situation, he didn't hold out. He held in. He showed up to minicamp, but wasn't working out with the team and everything like that. He was working out on the side. They get the contract done basically a week before the first game of the season. TJ Watt goes out there on a rampage, gets like 2 sacks, all while getting 2 sacks in that first game of the season and causing a fumble, pulls a hamstring and is hobbled throughout the rest of the season with a pulled hamstring. You don't pull said hamstring if you are working out with the full team. So my whole frustration about not just NFL or any work environment out there, why does it always have to come down to the last minute? The absolute last minute before you guys can get a deal done. Like, think about it. When we were talking about it a couple of weeks ago with the New York Jets and Aaron Rodgers, you posed the question, cap or no cap, that the deal was going to get done before the draft. And like we always know, it always gets done right before the draft. So the Aaron Rodgers thing came out last week, basically right before the draft. This deal with Lamar comes out right before the draft. So you want the dude. The dude wants to stay, and vice versa with the Aaron Rodgers situation. He wants to go to the Jets. You don't want to be him in Green Bay anymore. Just make the deal happen. Why does it have to take so long? You're dragging everything out. You're putting bad name on your organization, put a bad name on a star quarterback. Just get the deal done. Get the deal done. It does not take this long.
So, and the Cincinnati Bengals are not in the same situation because Joe Burrow is going to be in Cincinnati moving forward. So it's not like, oh man, Joe Burrow, we need this deal done because based on what you do with this is how we draft. Joe Burrow is going to be here. It's just
Right.
for what number? We didn't know if Lamar would be in Baltimore.
Right.
And Baltimore's like, okay,
That
we
got
just
ugly.
got OBJ, we got some guys now, but please, I hope we didn't just do that for Huntley. I hope we, so if we draft Jackson Smith and Jigba, according to Mel Kiper, that's who they have the Ravens taking in the first round. They draft Jackson Smith and Jigba to play for Huntley. So I think that's why this deal gets there's no, that's why Lamar maybe had that leverage there. The team was against it because the team, based on who your quarterback is, will dictate the direction you go draft wise.
Right.
And if you're going to lose Lamar Jackson, you had to get the trade done by now. Or you just totally hit reset and rebuild and you trade guys away, get a bunch of draft picks. And either way, it would have been too late for that. So when it's all said and done, Lamar kind of wins. He gets his money, doesn't get the money he was asking for. Baltimore kind of wins because they didn't give him the money that, he was asking for as far as that's concerned. But ultimately, to your point, this was all just a lot of noise for no damn reason. A lot of noise for no damn reason. I would have, this goes back to our conversation earlier. If I'm Baltimore and you wouldn't have liked it. I know a lot of people would not have liked it. If they would have just let Lamar go, I would have been like, good for you. It may not have been the smartest.
Oh, yeah, you would definitely said that because you're a Browns fan.
Yes.
I would have been happy. I wanted him to go to the 49ers and get away from me. Go all the way to the NFC. Go wreck everything over there. If we make it to the Super Bowl,
Niners,
so beat it.
Yeah,
go over there. Yeah, go get MVPs, all that type of stuff elsewhere. I don't want to play the dude ever again, but unfortunately, it looks like we will be.
But the problem is Baltimore, you talked a big game. You drew a line in the sand that then you took your hand and then you just kind of erased that line. Like just man up. Like, what are you doing? I'm not mad that he got paid. I'm trying to think how to word this. But this is why I get mad at teams. I'm willing to take a team's side if they actually have the cojones that they're pretending to have throughout the whole negotiation process to begin with. You didn't want to pay him, give him this much guaranteed money. Then you should have stuck to that. And if he left, then you send a message to the league that, hey, we're an organization that we're going to stick to our guns. You're not going to not blackmail us, but you're not going to stick us. You're not going to hold out and all this. Because by the way, look, we told Lamar Jackson to kick rocks. You want to hold out.
It's
that's
easier
fine.
to say that in the off season. And then you roll out there with Tyler Huntley and you go, I don't know, win 5 games that season. The fan base is not going to be like, oh, yeah, that was a good move. We stuck to our guns. Because if Lamar Jackson ended up with the San Francisco 49ers and hoisted the Lombardi and MVP awards and everything like that, that's all they're going to be looking at. Like, wait a minute, dude, we had him and y'all just let him walk. You can't just let him walk. And that's why I harp on the Jalen Brunson thing so much in the NBA. And that's why I harp on the Kyrie Irving situation that's going to happen in the NBA as well. They're going to let 2 very, very, very good players walk for absolutely nothing. You got to get something out of it. But ultimately, the Baltimore Ravens don't have to worry about that now. They re-signed him. He's in the building. He's got OBJ to throw to. We'll see if they make another play on a wide receiver or another weapon tonight. My question is, what's the contract? Because from the numbers I've been doing is basically these contracts have been going up anywhere between 5 and 8% every single time. So if he goes up, I don't know. Let me do the math real quick. Sorry.
No. Well, you're doing that. So just for clarity, while he's doing that, Deshaun Watson has a $230 million fully guaranteed contract. The second highest the quarterback with the second highest fully guaranteed money is Kyler Murray at 189.5. Jalen Hurts comes in at number 3 with 179.3. We at least know that Jalen Hurts is going to move down to 4. The question is, so this is what we do know. Jalen Hurts will move down to 4. Deshaun Watson's staying at 1, but he's going to get more guaranteed than Kyler Murray, correct? Like you according to you, yes.
I think it's got to be $200 million guaranteed. Like, I think that's the sweet spot. I think that's a fair situation. You want it fully guaranteed 230. All right, here's 200 fully guaranteed. And I don't know, maybe they get up to 265 for the full length of the contract. I think that's something that the Baltimore Ravens can live with, and I believe that's something Lamar Jackson can live with.
All right. Well, I tell you what, I'm not bummed as a Browns fan that this got done. I told you before, Kev, I'm glad this happened. Here's why. And I'm kind of excited for when this happens with the Bengals. The Bengals have come this close to winning a Super Bowl. I think they have another 2-year window where they're going to have pretty stacked rosters. I think like this year's pretty good, not as good as last year's, but I think they're going to be very good in a different way. Just again, I think the players you lost, you'll make up for, and just it's the 4th year of T and Joe, it's the 3rd year of Chase. Like, you know what I mean? Just that experience alone just improves guys.
Mm-hmm.
But the Baltimore Ravens had Lamar Jackson on a rookie deal for how long? I mean, we're talking since 18, 5 years, and you got one playoff win out of it. And I know Huntley almost beat the Bengals this year, by the way. Luckily, I mean, those Bengals could barely beat Huntley. I mean, they're lucky that they didn't have Lamar. But no, seriously, they couldn't. They had every opportunity in the world to go spend big money on wide receivers, on running backs, on offensive linemen, on this, on that. And they put all the money on defense and statistically ended up with a mid-tier to sometimes bad defense, sometimes because of injuries and other times just because it's not the Ray Lewis era anymore. And now all the money that you put on the defensive side of the ball that still led you to being a mid-tier defense, you now have to take those guys and trade them because you can't afford to pay them because now you got to pay Lamar, and you couldn't provide him weapons when he wasn't making money. Now he's making money. Now you're going to take weapons away on defense, and now you want us to believe that you're going to draft correctly and give him what he needs when you had the time to prove it before and didn't. You should be smiling too. We should all be smiling, AFC North fans, because I have absolute good for Lamar. He gets his money. At least now when the Ravens are underperforming with him, we don't have to worry about them being as much of a pain in our ass because they won't have as many weapons. The wild thing is, Kev, he's already played on the best teams he's ever going to play on, at least with the pattern of the NFL from what we've seen in the past. It's going to be interesting to see what happens now moving forward. OBJ, we think that, I mean, that's a bigger name, but Kev, what if it's not? What if he ends up being a bust? The weapons still aren't great. Jackson Smith-Njigba would be a great addition during the draft if Mel Kiper's prediction holds true.
Bateman and OBJ. It's on y'all. It's on y'all. Bateman, you have to be available to play. I mean, and OBJ, I mean, basically the same thing for OBJ. Like, you have to be out there to play, right? So the pressure is really on those guys because those are the weapons that they chose to bring in for him. They got to show up.
Yep.
You can't have Duvernay, who was a punt returner at Texas, and that's basically all he did at Texas, be your best wide receiver or most consistent wide receiver. Like, he's supposed to be a number 3 guy. But if he's out there running as the number 1 guy, that's a problem. And that's a reason why Andrews' numbers tailed off at the end of the year, because they didn't have any wide receivers to throw to. So instead of bracketing wide receivers, they bracketed him.
Yep.
So, and they don't use him, quote unquote, the same way that a Kelsey is used. They use him like a traditional tight end on the line of scrimmage. They don't really flex him out or put him out like wide receiver and everything like that. So Bateman and OBJ, it's on those guys to step up their game.
Let me ask you. So I do think the one thing about Baltimore, like everyone says Lamar's up there with Pack and everything else. Well, the problem with that is Travis Kelce is better than Mark Andrews, but Mark Andrews is not the dude's elite. That dude's good. So watching Kansas City win a Super Bowl with Juju Smith-Schuster, I mean, it's kind of, you're running out of excuses, Lamar.
Super Bowl champion.
What'd I say?
Super Bowl champion.
Super Bowl champion.
Don't disrespect Juju. Don't disrespect my guy.
Before it was just TikTok Juju Smith-Schuster.
Steeler.
That's why I love Von Bell, though. Von Bell knocked his ass out a few years ago. I love that. I made money that night too. That was before gambling was. No, what am I saying here? Yeah, I made some money with a friend. Yeah, what are we doing here? All right, Kenner and Kev 14 said, I'm just saying, Lamar, the pressure's on it. You got the money now, but we watched Patrick Mahomes while getting paid win a Super Bowl with his tight end being his number 1 weapon. So I don't care if you say he has no weapons. He has his elite tight end. That's what Patrick Mahomes has. You say he's Patrick Mahomes. He's now going to make significantly more than Patrick Mahomes. We'll see what happens with old Baltimore. But he ain't going to do it because the Cleveland Browns are going to take care of him. There you go. All right. That is big news, though.
Dang.
That is huge news.
I am actually mad. I knew he was gone. I knew I was going to have to deal with him.
I'm happy. Deal with him.
No. So you telling me you would rather play Lamar Jackson than play Tyler Huntley?
I'm going to rather play him than play Tyler Huntley, but I don't fear the Baltimore Ravens the way I used to. The Browns have been pretty competitive, very competitive with the Ravens over the last year, even with Baker Mayfield doing against Lamar Jackson. That's why. And I don't know. And I don't think, and by the way, ask Bengals fans. They don't fear. the Ravens. They've kicked the Ravens' ass the last couple of years. Torched that secondary. That's some of their better guys. I know they're out injured, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Again, they win a lot of games because of him, but they win a lot of games against
75% of them.
We'll see but the Browns are okay. Bengals okay. Steelers okay, even though you handed the game back to them last year before, whatever. But, as long as Mike Tomlin gets his above 500 record, man, that's all that matters. He's like Deion Sanders, the NFL. It's the Pittsburgh Mike Tomlin.
A lot of disrespect going on out here.
Sanders, we don't need to make the playoffs. We just need to win, above 500. We're good.
Whoa.
Taking the whole AFC North down, right?
Stefanski. Okay, Stefanski. Okay.
That's coach of the year, Stefanski.
Blowing 13-point leads to the Jets.
With the backup quarterback. What are we doing here?
Yeah, Flacco. Super Bowl winning Flacco beat y'all. Garrett Wilson, Buckeye. Wide open. Touchdown.
They don't do that. They have Deshaun. We're good. We're good. Don't say another word. Kenner and Kev, 1410 ESPN Radio. What's it called?
Go Saints!
It was like minus 20 degrees.
The Saints playing a dome.
My gosh. Your team has a coach that trips people running up the sideline.
Anything to win, baby.
Oh, my gosh. What are we doing? Hey, by the way, we got some clarity real quick on the Victor Newman. His name is Eric Braden. Eric Braden's his name. He played, and then, by the way, the Titanic character that Victor Newman played was John Jacob Astor.
More news about Lamar Jackson.
More news. That's more important than Victor Newman?
Yes, unfortunately. Okay. 5-year contract worth $260 million total. No numbers on the guarantee yet.
You said 260. You guessed 260.
Yeah, simple math. You go in there, you see how much they go up. Yeah, it's about it's like what, 3% increase? You know all about 3%.
See, you would not get an 18%. CJ Stroud did his best Cardale Jones impersonation the other day. He said, "We ain't here to play school." He said, "And a good test taker. Now we're here to play football," just like Cardale said.
Go Bucks.
Coming up, but got some NBA stuff coming up. We're going to talk Bucks. We're going to talk Giannis Antetokounmpo, and we'll get to the NBA playoffs. And again, last night we saw if the Lakers win, they'll be the second team ever to go to the play-in games and go on to win a first-round playoff matchup. We watched the Heat do it against the Milwaukee Bucks. And, of course, an interesting post-game rant from Giannis Antetokounmpo has dominated sports talk shows on a day that the NFL draft is here. So that's a big win for the NBA as far as that's concerned. But we'll get to all of that coming up. Kenner and Kev, 1410 Wing AM.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Finding great people to hire can be like trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Their powerful matching technology delivers so many qualified candidates, it's like finding a needle in a needle stack. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. For less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You may not be required to pay it all back because there are special programs that will significantly reduce the amount you owe if you qualify. Accredited Debt Relief has helped qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. For this free information, call 800-458-8822. 800-458-8822.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week, there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
I don't know what I want to do. I'm just not sure that college is right for me.
Have you considered a career in dental assisting? I love my job as a dental assistant. I have flexible work hours, the money is good, and I get to work in a professional, people-oriented dental office. What I really love about my job is knowing that I give people a healthy smile.
For more information about becoming a dental assistant, contact your high school guidance counselor. Or if you are no longer in school, talk to a dentist in your community or visit ODA.org. This message is brought to you by the members of the Ohio Dental Association.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
The days of the week mean value at the home for fun food, sports, and spirits, Frickers. Monday, boneless freaking chicken wings. Tuesday, traditional freaking chicken wings. Wednesday, sirloin steak special. Thursday, frickin' chicken chunks. Frickers offers even more savings by offering double points on everyday values when you download and use the Frickers app. Double points on everyday value purchases. The place that saves you more money every day is the home for fun food, sports, and spirits, Frickers.
Speedway is here for you. Hot coffee is fresh or it's free. Offer good through 12/31/23. Visit participating store where coffee was purchased for details.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
Kenner and Cav 1410. Did you hear me hit my elbow right there? Yeah. I was like, Kenner and Cav. Kenner and Cav back here, Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Tonight, round one of the NFL draft. Finally, it's here. All the draft talk we could put behind us, or at least the projections, put that behind us. Now we can, when we hit the airwaves tomorrow at 3, we'll at least be able to react to all the first round action, the surprising picks, the bad picks, the great picks, the who the Bengals take at 28, Kev Nash's Steelers, of course, and the Ravens pick now becomes even more interesting. Mel Kiper has the Ravens taking Jackson Smith and Jigba. Now, at 22 or 23, wherever the Ravens are, Kev, first of all, Jackson Smith and Jigba, is he available at that late in the draft? With the wide receiver market booming the way it has, he would be the first receiver taken. I have a hard time believing that with as big of a market as it is in the NFL right now, with wide receivers being the big game change. Look what obviously Hill did to the Dolphins, the impact of Jamar Chase in Cincinnati. Obviously, the Ravens desperate. They go and get that big deal to Odell Beckham Jr. With all that happening, that's why I have a hard time believing that Jackson Smith and Jigba and a wide receiver doesn't get selected until in the 20s.
Yeah, that's crazy. If he's selected in the 20s, that means Zay Jones has gone before him. That's not a big surprise that Zay Jones will go before him. They were like 1 and 2 prospects, but him all the way down to the 20s, I don't see that happening. I really don't see that happening. I really like what you talked about with the Jets. If he's able to land with the Jets, we always talk about, landing a quarterback and a former wide receiver from college, kind of like how I would like CJ and him to land with the Texans. That would be pretty cool. But, Garrett Wilson and him landing with the New York Jets sounds very good too with Aaron Rodgers. He can be that guy, almost a bigger, faster, stronger Cobb lining up in the slot. And then you got the speed receiver out there as well, and Wilson. So that seems like a good landing spot for me. I don't think he lands until the 20s, man. There's no way he lasts all the way to the 20s.
The first wide receiver to be taken off the board, according to Mel Kiper in his last mock draft before everything kicks off tonight, Zay Flowers going number 21 to the Chargers. So what's interesting about that is the Chargers with all this stuff going on with Eckler. Keep an eye on Eckler. If Bijan Robinson, like let's say the Eagles don't take Bijan Robinson at 10, I would look at the Chargers to trade up. I would look at the Chargers to trade up and try to get Bijan Robinson because they're going to have to replace the production from Eckler, in my opinion.
Right.
So keep an eye on that as far as that goes. But that's kind of a high. They would be moving up 11 spot. I mean, they would be moving up high to get him. But they do have Zay Flowers going to the Chargers. That's the first receiver. But yeah, so the Ravens at 22, Jackson Smith and Jigba, according to Mel Kiper, that's where he has him going to pair up with Odell Beckham Jr. That'd be great for Lamar Jackson now, because if you're just joining us and have been living under a rock over the last hour, the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson finally get a 5-year deal and an extension done. Last week, Jalen Hurts, or was it earlier in the week or last week? Last week. Everything's running into one another.
Yeah, it went Hurts, Rodgers, and now this.
Yep. So with Jalen Hurts deal, 179 fully guaranteed money of that, but it was 200 and whatever.
255
over 5 years, which averaged out to 51 mil a year. Now Lamar getting 260. But what we're keeping an eye on is the fully guaranteed part. This is where it gets interesting for the Bengals, because I actually thought when the Eagles came out with their deal, Kevin, I saw that all he got was 179. I'm like, oh, that's a win for the Bengals. That's a huge win for the Bengals, because you can go up to 185, call it a day. But now if Lamar gets that 200, Joe Burrow now can look at that front office and be like, hold up. It's one thing to have guys making more than me throughout the league, but in my division, I'm going to have the third lowest fully guaranteed money in the division when I'm the only one of us four that has gone to a Super Bowl.
Right.
And back-to-back AFC championships. Like, man, Kev, you and you don't realize, I don't know why you're not happy with me and you are winning right now, dude. We're winning. We're winning. Steelers fans, Browns fans, we're winning.
I would much rather him not be here. I would much rather him be somewhere else. I think that it gets overblown that, like, all right, you're going to pay a guy and he's not going to have enough around him. And when I talk about these quarterbacks have shown the ability to be good enough to win with lesser talent, especially Lamar Jackson has been able to do that. So, like, you talk about taking away talent. Well, he's never really had the talent infusion that other teams have had. So, like, that's why I'm saying, like, well, it'd be better if he just wasn't here. Better if they had, I don't know, name your quarterback out there starting for them. So, like, I'm not super pumped and I'm not super sad. I'm like, okay, he's here. Now we got to deal with him for the next 5 years. And now we got to deal with Deshaun Watson for 5 years. Now we got to deal with Joe Burrow maybe for 2 years.
We get see the Nielsen ratings, and so now we got to deal with Kenner for another. Every time I sign my extension,
signing that extendo.
To be fair, I think you say this. I got to deal with Kenner for another. How many years is that deal?
Every Monday.
Yep. So again, Bengals fans, this is fascinating to me, because it'd be one thing if Lamar got this deal out of the AFC North, but because and that's why too, Lamar, all the guaranteed money, let's just say it's at that 200 range. Okay. The deal is 5 years, 260 mil. He's the highest paid now. Lamar, as of right now, is the highest paid quarterback.
Right.
Sorry, Jalen. It lasted for like a week. Man, that your agent's a bum, apparently. Couldn't even get you to be the highest paid for longer than a week. But no, that's where we're at. Lamar, the highest paid quarterback in the league right now. Kev, when it's all said and done, is Justin Herbert going to be the highest paid quarterback in the NFL at any point?
Yes. His contract, if it's next, will be around 270 probably.
But will he be the one that gets paid next? If I'm him, I sit back and wait for Burrow to get
whoever's next is going to be about 265, 270. And then whoever after that is going to be like 280.
And this is why I know the Browns with the fully guaranteed money. I truly believe it's a ballsy move going full guaranteed 230 mil. But that deal ain't that bad anymore. I really don't think it's that big a deal anymore. Bengals fans come at me all the time with that Deshaun Watson contract. He's getting paid 46 mil a year.
Right.
Burrow's going to get paid 52 to 53. Like that. And look at where Lamar's getting paid now, 51, 52 in that range.
When you wait, you pay more.
So
it's as simple as that. And I mean, look, people can rag on the Haslams for, their business dealings and everything like that. And some people think that, like, oh man, they purposely gave Deshaun Watson a fully guaranteed contract to start all this stuff in the NFL. I simply believe that they gave him that contract in order to get him. They did whatever they had to do to get him. And this is just a ripple effect of it. But the thing that's going to work out for them is ultimately they knew contracts are just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And the longer you wait, the more money you pay. So if you like a guy, you think he is the guy, pay him in advance, because in 2-3 years, that number is going to be minuscule and you'll have your guy.
And we're going to live in an NFL world where you have Patrick Mahomes, who is going to be making $8 to $10 million less in about a year, 2 years. Patrick Mahomes, unless he gets a, and don't be surprised if the Chiefs take care of him, and they should, and they probably will. But realistically, in the next 2 years, Patrick Mahomes could be making $10 million less in the league than some of the guys ahead of him, and he's the best quarterback by far in the league. So, all of this isn't always a true reflection of talent in the league by any means. It's just who's up next.
Yep.
But it is why. Are you surprised no agent or quarterback has followed the Patrick Mahomes 10-year model? There's a 10-year. He was the first quarterback to sign a $500 million deal over 10 years. Why did we not see any other quarterback do that?
I don't know. That's a good question. I guess
a win-win for both.
Yeah, definitely a win-win for both. I don't know. That's a very good question. I'm not knowledgeable enough to know. That's a good question though.
Because when we talk about quarterbacks who give team-friendly deals for their teams, I mean, that would have to be it. By the way, I said 46. Patrick Mahomes is at 45. Deshaun Watson's at $46 million a year. But man, now Jalen Hurts at 51. You're going to probably have Lamar at 52, 53.
52 and a half, somewhere around there. Yeah.
And Joe Burrow is going to be at 53, 54. And if Herbert gets paid first, then that number is going to be higher. Bengals fans, you got mad at me the other day when I brought up what's taking so long. I'm telling you, you guys should be mad right now too. The more Burrow gets paid, that's more of the pie that is going to one player. That the Browns will have more freedom, even with the fully guaranteed money, to do as they want with their roster more than the Bengals. That's why it's a big deal. And then Kev's team has a rookie quarterback on a rookie deal. And if he's not it, then you get another run at another quarterback on a rookie. Who knows what happens? That's the other thing too. The AFC North with Kenny Pickett. I didn't mind him. I mean, we need to see more, but it could have been bad. I mean, Mitch Trubisky's bad. Good leader.
Yes.
Bad. When Kenny Pickett went in games, he did not look like Mitch Trubisky. So you have that going for you, whatever that means.
Sell it to me, Kenner. Sell it. I'm anxious to see the second year from Kenny Pickett. I'm very anxious to see. I think they're going to be a lot better on offense this year. I think we're going to see less of the ghost sweeps and things of that nature. I think we're going to see a more traditional running game from the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I think, some of the things that Chase Claypool was unwilling to do from the slot position, Allen Robinson is. He's a professional. He's going to go out there and do all those things like, block on the perimeter and all those type of things. So I think they're going to be way more efficient on offense. I just think that the Bengals, Browns are more talented all around than the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I don't think the Steelers are far off.
No, we're going to be there.
It's the quarterback for them. Like, I think I like Pittsburgh, or I like oh, sorry, that threw me off. My ADD is kicking in. It's late in the day now, later than usual for us. The thing, like,
it's the draft, man.
I like the Steelers wide receiver unit more than the Browns. I would take your receivers.
Me too.
And let me be clear: the Browns have a very good wide receiving unit. I don't mind it. I'd prefer Pittsburgh's. I think Cincinnati's number 1 in the North. I think Pittsburgh's 2. I think Cleveland's 3. And with Baltimore 4, obviously, but they get Jackson Smith and Jigba, and there's no way. I'm sorry, I'm calling it now. There's no way that the first wide receiver is going to be taken in the 20s. I'm going to go to my FanDuel app now and see if there's a prop bet for that. And I'm sure that there is. When the latest receiver will be taken, there's just no way. But
I can't believe that in the 20s. Yep. A wide receiver, the first one? Nah.
Not in today's NFL. Now, Mayer is the first pass catcher, if you will, the tight end for Notre Dame, to be selected of all the receivers, tight ends, or what have you. And maybe that's the fallout of the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl with their number 1 pass catcher being a tight end. I don't know, but we'll see how all of this works out. Jody Van Winkle. Jody, I hope you're doing well, by the way. It's been a while since you've chimed in on here. So let's see, what did he say? Jody Winkle, he said Pittsburgh needs to get a better quarterback, and then it's on. He was talking about the AFC North, just how stacked it is at quarterback. And then he also said he's a Bengals fan. He goes, I'm pissed that this is taking so long for the Bengals. And the longer it takes, the more expensive it's going to become. And if, and that's why I'm like, whatever negotiations are going on now, whatever roadblocks were coming up in these negotiations, I feel like those negotiations are being scrapped and we're starting over now because of this Lamar deal. I think Lamar's deal, Jalen Hurts deal was something because that was the same draft as Burrow. But this Lamar deal is because it's in your division. And you already had the outlier contract, as everyone says, with Deshaun Watson. You can't say Lamar's an outlier now. So at $200 million, if that's the case, like that's the starting point. I'm fascinated to see what this goes. If it's like 205 fully guaranteed, the Browns don't look as silly. I mean, that means $25 million more a year guaranteed for the Browns quarterback than anyone else. Whatever is what it is. So, all right, Kev, we can move on to the association.
Oh, really?
We can move on.
You sure?
We all this news. Let's real quick. Mr. Ron Howard, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
All right. No cussing, no swearing, no saying anything bad. It's pretty echoey. What are you doing?
I'm just talking about making comments about the draft and everything. And I just wanted to give you a stat that you guys are all high on the Eagles going 10 at Bijan Robinson. But the last time the Eagles took a number 1 first-round pick was Keith Byers. So that's been a while.
You mean taking a running back in the first round?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. If you look it up, he's the last one they've had.
Yeah, that was back in the 80s. No, Ron, that's a good point. Now, this goes back to our point earlier. Like, I don't think Bijan Robinson is going in the top 10 if it wasn't for the Eagles being a Super Bowl team picking in the top 10 because they have the receivers, they have their O-line, they have a lot of weapons. They know if they can get a running back for cheap. Running backs still have a huge impact on the game, but it's because there's so many of them that's why there's not a high demand for them because of that. So I think that's why they do take Bijan Robinson at 10, which will be pretty interesting if that's the case.
Yeah, and I think you'll see Burrow's getting a contract deal here settled soon because every time somebody signs, the price goes up. So the Bengals want to lock in before the next Herbert or somebody else comes in. So I can see that happening real soon.
Someone messaged in, Ron, to say LaShawn McCoy. He was drafted by the Eagles in the second round. Okay, you're right, Ron. You were right. Someone said McCoy. So Jody Van Winkle, McCoy was a second-round pick. Someone was questioning your stat, but look at Ron, producer Ron, producing today. Good for him.
Hey, got to support my local guys, man.
Appreciate
what
it.
I mean?
Appreciate it. Now, you got that Baker Mayfield jersey yet?
It's on back. It's on back order, but I'm going to wait and see what happens. But they're saying they've had a few mock drafts saying Robinson could fall to Bucks, but I doubt it. But the Bucks are probably going. They're saying they're looking edge rusher. So one of them Georgia guys is who they're looking at. So
Bucks are in a good spot. The NFC is not very strong, so it's anyone's division. I mean, it's the Eagles out there, obviously, but even they got worse from a year ago. They lost a ton on the defensive side of the ball, but they're still going to be pretty dang good one way or another. But Ron, I tell you what, Ron, if you get a Baker Mayfield jersey, I'll buy a Baker Mayfield jersey. If you buy a Baker Mayfield jersey, I'll buy one myself, and I'll wear them to a couple of them Sunday Fricker shows when we get to the NFL season.
Well, I get the home one.
You get the home one. So what jersey is that? Everyone mixes it up now. That's okay. I like the white jerseys anyways.
Yeah. Well, I thought they played white at home, but it don't matter.
All right, Ron, I'm telling you, if you buy Baker Mayfield jersey, I'll buy one as well. Just throwing it out there. You talk so much smack about him. I can't wait to watch him lead the Bucks to the promised land, baby.
Hey, I can't either. So,
all right, Ron. Good hearing from you.
All right. Bye.
All right.
The Ron
coming in, not swearing, not saying anything inappropriate, contributing with stats. Good for him. Ron coming through in the clutch. So I have to, Sean Matthew, I trust you. I do got to fact check this just to be sure. But Sean Matthew messages in, Kev, that ESPN said it's $185 million guaranteed. Well, it does. Then I don't think this impacts the Bengals as much as I thought. Then I agree with you. I thought it would be at least at that $200 million.
Yeah, that's what I would think.
Why? Let me ask you this.
That's less than Kyler Murray.
Let me ask you. That is less. Why don't the Cardinals get more crap for the Kyler Murray deal than the Browns get for Deshaun? Because I think it's the overblown, fully guaranteed deal. I get that, but like Kyler Murray, is not like the fact that like Lamar, they couldn't get more guaranteed money than him. If this is the case, that I understand that. Like when you brought that up a while back, I was like, okay, I see your point on that because the overall money was big.
Right.
It was the fully guaranteed, but that, it's not 133. 133 was very disrespectful, but the Ravens came out to say, hey, that was for a shorter deal. 133 wasn't over 5. It was 133 over 3 originally.
Yeah. I'd have took that if I was Lamar, to be honest.
But I think this is
This is about
on par with everyone.
Yeah, this is a deal he could have got
a long time ago.
This is the deal he could have got without Deshaun Watson's fully guaranteed deal, if you ask me. Like, this is a standard deal of today's NFL football.
Yeah.
This isn't like, oh my gosh, like earth-shattering. Like, everybody knows the next guy up gets paid more. It is what it is.
And for those who say, well, who cares? They got it done. They got it done. And if Lamar was not as hurt as he said and sat out of the playoffs last year, I don't blame him one bit. Utilize your leverage. That's what you're supposed to do. So if that's the case, that's the Ravens' fault. Because, by the way, the Bengals almost lost to the Ravens. They lose if Lamar's the quarterback of the Ravens in that wild card game last year. Cincinnati is losing at home. I mean, it took a defensive touchdown to beat the Lamar-less Baltimore Ravens. He played, so like that's on the front office. They get a playoff win last year. They beat Cincinnati last year in the playoffs if they have Lamar. And I don't care if Lamar was healthy or just slightly banged up and sitting out because of the negotiation stuff. That doesn't happen if they get this deal done. This deal could have been done a year ago, as you just said.
Yeah, this could have been done.
All right, Kenner and Cab, 1410 Wing AM. We'll be right back.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
By now, you should know Audio Etc. has all the same sales and deals on TVs and projectors as everyone else. But did you know we also have some of the world's best hi-fi? Hi, this is Kirby from Audio Etc. And we do have some of the best home theater high-fidelity gear on the planet. Not only do we have your favorite brands like Klipsch speakers and SVS subwoofers, but audiophile greats from Bowers & Wilkins, Kef, NAD, Marantz, Cambridge, Mark Levinson, and plenty of vinyl and tube gear. Plus exotics you only see in the magazines. Stop by today and visit Audio Etc.'s crazy cool showroom and see and audition the best audio and video has to offer. While you're in, check out our huge selection of pre-owned vintage gear. A great way to afford great gear otherwise out of reach, or revisit old classics. Audio Etc. Sound advice you can trust. Audio Etc. 551 Congress Park Drive at the corner of Paragon in Centerville, or call 434-9770.
Audio Etc. Crazy cool showroom.
As a roofer, I'm always on the go, so I need to be able to get things done from anywhere. That's why I partner with Beacon. With the new Beacon Pro Plus app, I've got the brands I depend on, like GAF, right at my fingertips. It's like having my Beacon rep in my pocket 24/7. I rely on Beacon because I never stop building, and neither do they. Now through June, purchase through Beacon Pro Plus and earn up to $1,500. Beacon, always building.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You may not be required to pay it all back because there are special programs that will significantly reduce the amount you owe if you qualify. Accredited Debt Relief has helped qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. For this free information, call 800-820-3131. That's 800-820-3131.
Discover credit cards do something awesome at the end of your first year. They automatically double all the cash back you've earned. That's right. Everything you've earned doubled. See terms and check it out for yourself at discover.com/match.
Kenner and Cav back with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens agreed to a 5-year, $260 million contract extension. He's now the highest paid quarterback in the National Football League, the highest paid quarterback in National Football League history. We brought up the story last week about the agent with Jalen Hurts and how cool that was. She got him to be the highest paid quarterback in NFL history, which was impressive. However, and that was like her first client. Really cool. But what's even cooler is considering all the flack and all of the criticisms of Lamar not hiring an agent, he got the same deal as Jalen, but better on his own. And he saved, I just read, he saved between $3 to $7.5 million in the cost to give that money to an agent. So he made $8 million on the deal. Like, you were going to get that contract no matter what, whether you had an agent or not. But he did it on his own. Him and his mom, kudos to that aspect, because that had to be hard.
Absolutely.
It was not an easy process.
Oh, no.
But Jalen earned his, but Lamar earned it because he had to just go through the ringer to get this deal. So
yeah, it's very cool. It's very cool on both parts. I mean, a mom and son, having this master plan since he was, I believe they said 10 years old. The whole situation about them wanting him to go to a private school, one of those academy schools down there in Florida, like IMG Academy. He decided to stay at his public school, ended up getting a scholarship. Everybody from Nick Saban to Jimbo Fisher wanted him to play wide receiver or defensive back. He says no, he goes to play in Louisville, plays quarterback, wins the Heisman Trophy, gets drafted in the first round. Everybody telling him he needs to play wide receiver in the NFL. Ultimately helps his team get to the playoffs in his rookie year, wins the MVP in his second year, and everybody telling him to go get an agent. You're not going to get this deal done. And now he gets this deal done with him and his mom. Just another victory lap for him and his family.
Kenner and Cav, 1410 Wing AM. The number that came out, last thing on this before we move on, 185 fully guaranteed. Kyler Murray still makes more money fully guaranteed than he does.
Right.
Surprised.
Very surprised.
We thought for sure it'd be the 200 range. It's not. It's the 185.
Very surprised that it's not at least $200 million. Very surprised. So, one of the things that's always going to happen is the press conference. And I'm very anxious to hear the press conference because you already know what's going to happen. This is the contract that we worked out. I'm happy to be here. This is what I wanted all along. And they're going to say the exact same thing. We're glad to have Lamar Jackson. We've got everything worked out. It's a great contract, yada, yada, yada. And you know who's the third happiest person outside of Lamar Jackson and his mom? Harbaugh. Harbaugh is the third happiest person out there because you know what? I guarantee Harbaugh was in the GM's office on a daily basis. Like, hey, man, when are we getting this done? I kind of need my quarterback if I'm going to win games because, before I had my quarterback, I was about to get fired. So when am I getting my quarterback?
And they finally have that. This has been, but now the AFC North shakes out a little bit.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Deshaun in Cleveland. Lamar in Baltimore. And now Lamar, like the Browns, it's been a noisy offseason for the Ravens. The offseason, when does that kick into? To me, like a legitimate offseason kicks in after the draft.
No. All season.
No, hold on. I'm trying to think of how to word this. Like, when does the noise need to die down before it affects the next season?
Oh,
that's why. That's
okay.
Why
Okay.
Like that, I think Baltimore won this because of that. It's gonna be smooth sailing from here.
Yeah, because let's see, they just did a little voluntary mini camp recently. Everybody did, and then you get your draft. So yeah, the kind of dead period, so to speak, is after the draft. until like June. They go in for another little quick weekend mini camp, and then they come back for real camp in July. So yeah, like this after the draft, I think they like get a whole month off of basically no football talk outside of the schedule release in May. And then after the draft.
So I agree. And that's why the AFC North is going to be interesting. If Joe Burrow doesn't get hurt the rest of this offseason, in Pittsburgh, I'm not meaning to disrespect your team, but I think that the teams with the quarterbacks, we're still waiting.
I'm with
Kenny
you.
Pickett. So last year, obviously Deshaun Watson was traded to the Browns in March, but it was just, you never knew what the suspension was going to be. He played preseason games, but couldn't play till week 12. And it was just, you couldn't be in the building until week 9. And it was just crazy. And then Joe Burrow gets hurt with the appendectomy or whatever it was that he had in the preseason. And then just, it took a while to get going. And then Lamar played to start the season, and they lost a bunch of weird one possession games early on, but then it was all the contract talk. The AFC North, I think we're finally going to get to see, if Joe Burrow stays healthy, we're going to get to see the best of Cincinnati right off the bat. Because keep in mind, as good as Cincinnati has been to close out these seasons the last 2 years, they've been very average to bad at times to start. I mean, Cincinnati started out 0-2 last year. Didn't matter. They get to the AFC title game, whatever. But it was, it's a bumpy start every year. The Browns couldn't enjoy last year. Even the year before that, it was all the pressure for the Browns. But then the COVID thing and then everything that happened, is one thing after another. It could be a very good season for the AFC North. I think you're going to get the best Baltimore Ravens team now because the contract stuff's done.
Yeah.
Lamar's free sale, and it's 100% focused on the season in football. Same thing with the Bengals. Joe Burrow, now the contract for them could get in the way. Assuming if the contract gets done, then it's real easy for Joe Burrow. But assuming he stays healthy, the Bengals will be 100% to start, hit the ground running. And then the Browns. I think we're going to finally get to see I think this is the first true season for the Browns and Deshaun. Last year, I'm not saying it was a throwaway year, but my gosh, so many distractions. I'm excited for AFC North football because at the end of the day, every time we count out Pittsburgh, they win 8-9 games, and it is what it is. Last thing on this, I keep saying that. Guess Lamar's record against each team.
Wow.
In the AFC North. Let's start with the Cincinnati Bengals. Over 500, under 500 against the Cincinnati Bengals.
Under 500.
He is 6-2 against the Cincinnati Bengals. And 6-2 against the Cincinnati Bengals.
Because he didn't play in one of those games that they destroyed him. Okay.
But don't tell the Bengals fans that. They own Lamar Jackson. They own the Baltimore Ravens. They have 2 good games against Baltimore, nearly lost to the backup quarterback for Baltimore, but they own the Ravens. Give me a break, Bengals fans. Now the Cleveland Browns. Guess what his record is against the Cleveland Browns, Kev? Above 500 or below 500?
Below 500.
No, he owns the Browns too. I'm sitting here saying I can't wait for him to leave. But the Browns have lost a couple close ones. That's that loser mentality that Browns fans.
I remember the game he had to go use the bathroom.
Yeah, the Paul Pierce game. Yep, I remember that. 6-3 against the Browns.
Okay.
6-2 against the Bengals. And here I'm the one saying, I'm glad he's here. Bengals fans, we should be glad he's here. He owns the Bengals. He owns the Browns. But what about your Pittsburgh Steelers, Kev? Lamar Jackson.
Push.
Above 500, below 500 against your Pittsburgh Steelers.
It's below. It's below.
It's below?
Yes.
It's below?
Yes.
2-3. It's below. The only team in the AFC North of all the over-obnoxious, cocky fans of Browns and Bengals, why we're cocky about Lamar and the Ravens when he has owned us since coming to the league is beyond me. The Steelers have had the most success against Lamar and the Ravens.
What's the crazy thing? People should be wrecking me because I'm the main one talk about.
That's what I'm saying. That's
winning games.
Irony here.
And I talk about, he wins 75% of the games that he plays. So 14-8 versus the AFC North.
14-8 against the AFC North. Pretty cool. So there's that. But yeah, Lamar, the Ravens, it'll be interesting nonetheless. So, man, the AFC North. We're talking about all the quarterbacks in the AFC. Like legitimate quarterbacks will miss the playoffs next year.
Oh, yeah.
And by the way, I know that the Browns and Deshaun Watson will be the most common name thrown out there to miss the playoffs. And that's fair. The Browns haven't proven anything. As much as Baltimore has been up and down throughout this time with him, they've won a lot of games. And the thing about Lamar, Kev, we're not questioning his ability to win in the regular season. Now the pressure is going to be on to win in the playoffs.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
And if you don't win in the playoffs, you're considered a failure, a loser, a crybaby. You lose, and then you cry to the media. No. Last night, something happened that I think just shows the hypocrisy that NBA fans have when it comes to players they like versus they don't like. I love Giannis Antetokounmpo. I absolutely love Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's an MVP, a two-time MVP. He is an NBA champion.
Mm-hmm.
He is what many consider, with LeBron James kind of, entering the last couple years of his career, the face of the NBA. Many consider that to be Giannis. We did a topic a few years ago, Kev, where I said, which team do you think the league is pulling for to win an NBA championship? And I can't remember who you said, but I remember saying Milwaukee at the time, or it was with Phoenix. It was when they played the Phoenix. And I remember saying, I think the league is pulling for Milwaukee because Phoenix is older.
Right.
Chris Paul, had they won that finals that year, I don't know that. I mean, it's a good storyline, but it doesn't prop up the NBA because they're getting towards the end of LeBron's run. So you kind of really need the Phoenix. You really needed Milwaukee to win it because Giannis is that emerging star. And there's just too many young stars in the NBA right now that don't have rings. And I thought it was very important to establish Giannis as that because it's one thing to win MVPs. That's a great stat too, but like the championships matter. And your guy, Michael Jordan, has ruined the NBA. He's ruined the NBA. No, what do they call it? I forgot. Alan Hahn called it something earlier today. The ring. I forgot what he called it. But it was something with the championship. Like everything is based on your legacy is built on championships. Baseball, that's not the case. Barry Bonds, if it wasn't for steroids, we'd say he's the greatest baseball player ever. Never won a World Series. He lost in the World Series. Take steroids out of it, everyone would consider him the most dominant baseball player ever, right? But we don't hold that against him. Football, we hold you need I think playoff wins and success in the regular season. I feel like sometimes those trump the actual Super Bowl at times when we look at legacies of guys. Dan Marino would be propped up more with the Super Bowl, don't get me wrong. But have we ever said, yeah, Dan Marino, he's great, but, he never won the Super Bowl. We bring up he didn't win the Super Bowl, but everyone still includes him in the greatest quarterbacks of all time list. In the NBA, you don't win a ring, you don't win multiple rings, you don't get moved into that category where you are a dog, where you're the best. And sometimes it's not even just one. It's not Michael Jordan's fault. It's LeBron's fault. And here's why. Michael Jordan was the greatest of all time. We propped up his 6-0 finals record, all that stuff. People who love MJ, you love MJ. This really isn't about you. We've had our back and forth about this, but hear me out on this. We never thought there'd be someone that would even come close to testing the greatness of Michael Jordan. And it didn't take long. And to be honest, I think we're still overlooking Kobe because Kobe looked like Mike, talked like Mike, played like Mike, won like Mike. Why Kobe doesn't get brought up more than that is whatever. But with LeBron, the MJ fans became very defensive. Became very like, no, he's mine. He's ours. You can't touch. Like we needed to enjoy his greatness longer. There was generational gaps between elites in the NBA's history. MJ, there really wasn't a generational gap there. It was MJ retired with the Wizards, and there's all this buzz about LeBron coming in, and then we used his success against him. LeBron, man, 4-time MVP. Oh, you took that crap team to the finals. All you do is win. You are so damn good, but you're not MJ because you didn't win championships. In fact, that's all that matters is championships. 6-0 in the finals. That's why MJ's great. If you don't do that, suck it. You're bad. You're horrible, blah, blah, blah. And that's okay. That's fine. That's the nature of the NBA. But what you can't do is move the goalpost. Here's Giannis Antetokounmpo from last night, Kevin. I'm fascinated to see what your take is on this because I think we are also conflicted as NBA fans because I think everyone really likes Giannis. I'm just curious where people's stance is when it comes to his takeaway last night. By the way, the Bucks, the 1 seed, they get beat by Kev's guy, Jimmy Buckets.
Mr. Buckets.
Mr. Buckets. All right. And the Miami Heat struggle to barely get past the Bulls or whatever in the play-in tournament. They are one of the worst offensive teams in the NBA. And Jimmy Butler, speaking to MJ, does MJ-type stuff and wills, and LeBron-type stuff as well, wills this roster past a very good team in Milwaukee. Now, Giannis played 11 minutes in game 1, missed games 2 and 3, came back and just had collapses. These were close games and collapses down the stretch. Giannis was asked after the game, do you consider this? Now, it's a major upset, by the way. You're a 1 seed. the best team in the NBA, according to your record and the seed. You lost. And he was asked if this was a failure and a very emotional response from Giannis Antetokounmpo. Take a listen.
There's always steps to it. Michael Jordan played 15 years, won 6 championships. The other 9 years was a failure? That's what you're telling me? No, I'm asking you a question. Yes or no? Okay, exactly. So why you asking me that question? It's a wrong question. There's no failure in sports. There's good days, bad days. Some days you are able to be successful. Some days you're not. Some days it's your turn. Some days it's not your turn. And that's what sports is about. You don't always win. Some other people's going to win. And this year, somebody else is going to win. Simple as that.
Last point, hand it off to you.
Mm-hmm.
Loved it. Loved it. I loved it because the media loved it. People like Giannis. Giannis doesn't get enough credit. We crap on everyone. Not you. You're nice. Media craps on everyone. If LeBron had if LeBron said word for word in the exact way he did it, LeBron's getting piled on today. But Giannis is, every coach should play this for their players. Every teacher should play this at the beginning of every school year. Every boss should play this for their employees. It was super motivational. LeBron would be just destroyed if he had that quote for quote, word for word. But I loved it because Giannis is so dang likable and so respected and so wrong, but yet so right. I've never seen a guy bring people together while disagreeing. What was your takeaway when you heard that last night?
He's right, technically. Technically, he's right. So, however this Warriors-Kings series ends, their season is a success. However, even though how mad I am about how the Cavs lost, their season was a success. When you are the number one team in the NBA and you lose to the 8th seed in the first round in a gentleman's sweep, this is a disaster, sir. I don't know what he's talking about. I clearly don't know nothing about sports because it is all about winning in sports. This good sportsmanship, absolutely. Do you win every year? Absolutely not. You're right. But there's levels to this. When you are one of those teams that are expected to win the championship, and not only the outsiders as a fan and the talking heads and the sports books and everything like that, your organization is trying to win the championship, and then your record displays that, and you go out in the first round in a gentleman's sweep, it's a disappointment. 100%. It's a failure. Absolutely, it's a failure. And when you're one of those guys, you're one of the best basketball players in the NBA, you're top 3. Well, you can argue about who's 1, who's 2, but ain't no doubt about it that Giannis is top 3 in the NBA. It's a failure. It's a complete failure. So for the Kings, if they lose this series, this is, we got something. We cooking with something. This is going to be a stepping stone for next year. But there does become a point where when you reach a certain plateau and a level as an athlete where it is championship or bust. So the Suns, you don't win a championship, bust of a season, failure of a season. You gave up all these players to get Kevin Durant and you don't win a championship. It's a failure. LeBron James, you are considered by a lot of people as the GOAT. This year, if you just get past the first round, I'm going to say it's a successful season. Some will say, since you are considered the GOAT, you should be making it to the finals. I may disagree with that, but ain't no way in the world you can convince me that this season for the Bucks was not a failure. People can talk about that Giannis missed 3 games or 2 games or whatever. Well, I'll tell you, he missed 13 free throws. I'll tell you that Coach Bud has been making the same mistakes that he did since he was the head coach with the Hawks. I can tell you that. So it's not all on Giannis. It's not all on Drew Holiday. It's not all on Coach Bud. It's everybody. Everybody about the Bucks organization failed. And a lot of that failure went at the free throw line where he missed 13 free throws because your back was hurting. Wasn't hurting when you dropped 38 points and grabbed 20 rebounds. If you hit, 3 or 4 more free throws, you probably win. And then you go down to Miami and you see what happens. So, yeah, it's a failure. This season is a failure. I'm not calling him a failure. This season is a failure.
So, wasn't expecting that. This is why we said we're going to do one of
Yeah. Really?
Do you agree?
Really? You weren't expecting that? You weren't expecting that from me?
Just like pro player.
No,
I'm
with him. I'm with him.
I don't mean that.
If De'Aaron Fox said this, I'll be like, yeah, he's right, because there's levels to this. Nobody's expected the Suns to be here right now. But to be a top 3 player in the NBA saying this, if Kevin Durant said this, you're right. And if LeBron said this, if Russell Westbrook said this, if any of the top level guys out there said this, it would not be like, yeah, this is what you do. No, this is not what you do. You do what Donovan Mitchell did. You take it on the chin and talk about how you let your team down and you let your city down and you let your fan base down because you weren't able to get it done. And it was a gentleman's sweep. 4-1 over the 8th seed.
You say this in a loss to in the finals.
Yeah, this isn't the finals.
More understandable.
This isn't a 7-game series in the Eastern Conference Finals versus the Celtics. This is the first round versus the 8th seed from the play-in who lost their first play-in game. I know how much I love Jimmy Butler. I know how much I respect Coach Spo. I know all about Heat culture. But come on, bro. Come on. Like, your back hurt. Absolutely. Not denying that. But guess what? Their second best player broke his hand. He hasn't been playing. So it's an eye for an eye right here, man. It's a failure of a season, bro. You're not a failure. You got a championship. You're an MVP. You're a finals MVP. But this season is a failure, bro.
Yeah, I thought it was a little emotional. I think the thing is no one, I thought, and what I liked about it too, because he was getting a little heated and frustrated. This is why, I mean, with a guy like him who's always so cool, calm, and collected, what I really respected about it is he goes, all right, I don't want to make it personal. So he reset it. He calmed down. Thought that was cool. This is why I also don't think I find it fascinating. I mean, this is why you get the players right away. You get to see them in their most vulnerable state after a game like that.
He spoke to the media, unlike Dylan Brooks.
Yeah, no kidding. But when he said, do you consider the seasons that Michael Jordan didn't win it a failure? If you ask Michael Jordan himself, he will tell you it's a failure.
Yeah.
And to be fair, no one called Giannis a failure, but team collectively failed.
Yes.
The organization failed. And it is what it is. And when I feel like he was trying to say the right things when he said there's levels to this, and you say this all the time, but when he said there's levels to this, and then he went on with his explanation, I'm like, could not agree with you more. There's levels to this. But I think you lack the self-awareness of where you're at within those levels.
Yes, you're Giannis, bro.
Yes. So I agree with you. There's levels to this, and you killed it with that. The Kings, if they actually lose this series, okay, let the Warriors come back. There's levels to this. The Kings haven't been in the playoffs in 16 years.
Yes.
And if they lose their first playoff series in 16 years, I know they're a high seed.
To the defending champs.
That, could things have gone a little differently? Could you have made more plays here or there? Yes. Maybe bummed, upset, wish something else. But it's not a failure of a season. You didn't fail. You didn't have no one had expectations of doing this. I mean, Coach Brown went in Coach of the Year. No one expected that. No one expected them to do what they're doing. You lose a year from now in similar fashion, being up 2-0. Then it'll be a different story because there's levels to this and you've moved on to a different level. The Cavs are that in-between team.
Yes, very much so.
They have a young roster that has a superstar that was brought over to get them to that next level.
Right.
The levels to this was getting to the play-in tournament and losing in the play-in tournament with the young core. That was the level you lost it. Now you're supposed to move up to that level. It wasn't a failure of a season, but it was a failure of a playoff run.
Oh yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah. So there's levels to this. Real quick, last thing on this. Here's Shaquille O'Neal. And it is interesting hearing people's different responses. What I love is the respect people have for Giannis. You could tell what players, like if Dwight Howard said this, Shaq's being totally different about it. I love how Shaq kind of he even gave kind of credit to Giannis at the end of this.
So when you're the great player and they expect you to win and you don't win, in my mind, it is a failure. I played 19 seasons and I failed 15 seasons. When I didn't win, it was a failure, especially when I made it to the finals versus the Rockets and lost, made it to the finals for the 4th time with the Lakers and lost. It was definitely a failure. So, I can't tell everybody how to think, but when I watch guys before me, but the Birds, the Kareems, and, that's how they thought. So that's how I was raised. So he's not a failure as a player, but is it a failure as a season? I would say yes. But also like his explanation, I can understand and respect his explanation. But for me, when we didn't win, it was always my fault, and it was definitely a failure.
Kobe would say that. MJ, you guys don't like him, but LeBron would say that. There's levels. And this is what I don't think Giannis, to be fair here, does he understand how good he is? I don't think he looks at himself as one of those guys, and we do. I think he is. He's not. I mean, legacy. He still has to do a little more.
Yeah. No.
But
I know what you mean. Like, he's the guy of now. Like, you can't win back-to-back MVPs and Defensive Player of the Years and Finals MVP and championships and not look at yourself as one of those guys. My whole thing is they were up, and they being the Milwaukee Bucks, up 16 points with 10 minutes to go. You're up 16. This isn't you're up 16 in the second quarter at halftime. This is in the fourth quarter with 10 minutes to go. Coach Bud is out of there. He is gone. And if he's not gone, I don't know nothing about basketball.
We don't know what Bud some of the owners are on.
Facts. Yeah. Because Nick Nurse is out there, the former head coach of the Raptors. Look, man, I know we haven't had a chance to talk about the Cavs, but if I'm the Cavs, I'm dialing them up. If I'm the Bucks, I'm dialing them up. They had nothing. Like, dude, they literally said, yeah, we're going to let Jimmy Butler just play one-on-one. Dude scored 98 points in 2 games. And they never double-teamed him. Are you kidding me? Like, you see what the Knicks were doing when Donovan Mitchell came off the high pick and roll? They blitzed him. Get the ball out your hands. You're going to pass it to Isaac Okoro. He's going to do something stupid with it.
Or make him dribble backwards past the three-point.
Exactly. They never did that.
Yep.
So, like, people, like, and I'm oohing and while I'm got my chest out about Jimmy Butler, but it's easy to have my chest out when he's getting to play one-on-one the entire game. Like, this is light work for him. If you ask any basketball player at the level of a Jimmy Butler, hey, go play one-on-one. I don't care who the defender is. He's going to get to a spot. He's going to pump fake you, and he's going to hit the jumper. Oh, you stay down. I'm going to pump fake again, foul, free throw line. That's his whole game. It is a very simple game. There's not a whole bunch of dribbling. It's not a whole bunch of three-pointers until the playoffs come in. Then it turns into freaking Mark Price from three-point land. But, I mean, they made it super easy on it for him to score the basketball at will. So then you turn it to the defensive side. He's getting steals, fast break dunks, and everything like that. So, like, I love Jimmy Butler. I got my chest out. I got audio clips of myself on my podcast talking about Jimmy Butler's a top 10 guy from 3 years ago, and people laughed in my face. Well, they've been to the finals since then, and this performance over these last 2 games pretty much sums it up about Jimmy Butler and how I feel about this dude. But the Bucks, Coach Bud, buddy, Coach Bud, you will be having a meeting in the office, and we'll be asking for your key card, buddy, because that, whatever that was, I mean, like the last play of the game, the last play of regulation, you're up 2 points. You have Giannis on the ball. Why don't you have Giannis on Jimmy and have Lopez on the ball? What are you doing? He knows more about basketball allegedly than me and you. But everybody out there knows, put your tall dude on the ball. Put the tall dude on the ball and then put the other super athletic tall dude on their really good dude that always hits clutch baskets. So what does Jimmy do?
Have many.
He goes up, catches it one hand, bucket, overtime, and then it's on and popping in overtime, man. So Coach Bud, ain't no way. If I'm a season ticket holder and if I had any clout in the Bucks organization, that somebody's not getting a nice little email from me about that.
So you heard from Shaq. Last thing on this. Here's another view. Here's Charles Barkley, who agreed with Giannis from NBA TNT's NBA Tonight.
I agree with Giannis.
Okay.
You know, it wasn't. Listen, they just got beat. Like, you don't always win. I mean, okay, Shaq played how many years?
19.
And he won 4 championships. I don't think he had 15 years of losing. Like, you don't win every time. To win the championship, a lot has to go your way. He missed 2 games. I mean, we don't know what could have happened.
And 13.
Well, first of all, he missed the 3 quarters of game 1.
He played 11 minutes in game 1, missed games 2 and 3.
So I understand why he was mad about the question. But like, because if he plays every game, like say, hey, it might have been a different series. So I don't look at every time somebody don't win. It's a disappointing that he got hurt early in the series. And it's unfortunate, but hey, having that kid as the face of our league, is one of the great things. He was so because he said he almost got personal for a second. He said, "Wait a minute, I don't want to be personal."
Well, it was a passionate response without question.
So that's why I love that kid.
Yeah.
All right, and what's interesting too. So Charles Barkley, who's never won a ring, had that to say. Mark Cuban, the owner of the Dallas Mavericks, had the Mavericks win a championship, of course, but the Mavericks have also been known. I mean, coincidentally enough, they were a 1 seed that lost back in the day to the Golden State Warriors. He came out and he was one that tweeted out, "Man, this should be played for every team," and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, there's a common trend here. If you look, the guys that disagree with it, it's the Shaquille O'Neal who won multiple NBA championships, who's an elite player. They're built different. He's built in the mindset of, no, if I don't win at all, it's a failed season. Maybe Giannis just exposed that he's not like that. I don't know. You know how in today's society we take everything and run with it. And it might be picked apart and people will run with that. Who knows? But at the end of the day, to flip this, we could say that was an epic collapse. I don't think it was a failure of a season from this standpoint. Of today's NBA, like, it's parity throughout. We keep making a big deal about the 1 seed. I think we've learned in these playoffs, and I think it was the Clippers owner that came out, or not owner, it was Clippers executive Lawrence Frank. So that these playoffs, we have, it's showing us that we have to get back to honoring and respecting the regular season. I think some of that comes down to, it's the fact that seeding meant nothing. And we said that heading in. I'm like, hey, the seeding, I don't care about seeding in this NBA playoffs, because this is going to be the first time that half these teams actually try consistently and try for a 5-6 game stretch. And that's what we've seen. The Knicks don't look like a 5 seed. The Cavs didn't look like a 4 seed. And, right now we think that, some of these series are getting a little bit more competitive that we thought were going to wrap up and all this. We don't know what's going on. The Lakers are not a 8 seed or whatever they are. What are they? 7. They don't look like a 7 seed. They look like a legitimate top team in the league. Seeding means nothing. So with that being said, the regular season's making it hard to dictate all this. He did miss, played 11 minutes game 1, did miss games 2 and 3. You're not winning that series if you're playing just an average team, but Miami's not average. It's not a good team. They're not, but they are a good team. I don't even know how to word that, but you know what I mean? Like, it's just a lot of variables moving. I know what he's trying to say, but at the end of the day, you're Giannis Antetokounmpo. You're an NBA champion. You're a 2-time MVP. You were a 1 seed. They lost Tyler Hero. I don't care how good Jimmy Butler is.
You're up 16 with 10 minutes, bro, and you missed 13 free throws.
And I wish Giannis would have been quiet, because if Giannis doesn't talk, his name's not being talked about today. Coach is. We're talking about, like, he put himself in front of the bus. I think Giannis, if Giannis doesn't say that last night, Kev, we're talking about the coach is getting all the blame, right?
Yeah, because he has something else, because I watched the whole press conference earlier today. He says that they ask him, hey, why weren't you on Jimmy Butler more? He's like, I would love to be on Jimmy more. I'm gonna just let coach the game. If he didn't say the stuff about season not a failure and all that type of stuff, that would be the headline right now, and Coach Bud would be up out of here because it's so many things that he did wrong that are just mind-boggling. So we can talk about we can get all super fancy and talk about drop coverage and yada, 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 things that go over people's heads or whatever. We can talk about a simple thing as a double team on a dude that is on fire. We could talk about, hey, put the tall dude on the other guy that's passed. They passed the ball in with Gabe Vincent, who is 6'1".
Unreal. And that's just simple little stuff. All right, last thing.
And I was rooting for the Heat.
Yeah. So we've been going on and on here because our computer froze. You don't even realize that our computer has been completely frozen, by the way, over the last 40 minutes. So while we're sitting here, and as I'm trying to figure this out, this is the last part of the show here.
Got time.
The NFL draft tonight. Actually, we'll put the NFL music in the background as we close this out, as I try to get this computer fixed while doing a sports talk show host all at the same time. Great stuff.
Our phone's working.
NFL draft tonight. CJ Stroud. When we hit the airwaves tomorrow at 3:00, what team are we talking about CJ Stroud leading in 2023?
Colts.
Colts?
Colts.
Not the Titans.
Nope. Colts.
Well, remember the Titans. I'm gonna predict a lot of reports about the Titans trying to do everything they can to aggressively move up. Can they potentially do it? But yeah, I think the Colts or Titans. I don't think he's drafted by any other team except the Colts or Titans. No chance by the Houston Texans.
No. I think they're going Will Anderson. I think they're going with the DN or linebacker, wherever position to play. I think they're going to the defensive side of the ball.
Big news, Lamar Jackson signs the big extension, of course, with the Baltimore Ravens. The highest paid quarterback in the history of the National Football League. You can thank his agent, him and his mom. Mel Kiper has...
What type of Christmas gift he getting his mom this year?
I don't know, but he has that extra $3 to $7 million that he didn't have to pay his agent for. So
probably 7 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms.
He's probably thinking you're the real MVP.
Factual.
And she is. So Jackson Smith-Njigba, Mel Kiper has Jackson Smith-Njigba going to the Baltimore Ravens at 22, which now that we know Lamar's the quarterback, that would be huge. But does Jackson Smith-Njigba, does he get past 20? Does 20 teams pass on Jackson Smith-Njigba? 21 teams pass on Jackson Smith-Njigba to get to Baltimore at 22?
Not a chance. He's not making it past 15. Because if he's there at 15 for the Jets, it's going to the Jets.
I think he goes to the Jets as well. I know they want an offensive lineman, but I think when you have Aaron Rodgers, if you have Zach Wilson, you get the offensive lineman. When you have Aaron Rodgers in the mindset of, we have Garrett Wilson and Jackson Smith-Njigba
on rookie
for
deals.
Aaron Rodgers. Oh my gosh. I think that would be something that's very interesting nonetheless. I agree with you. Last thing on the way out, Paris Johnson. Does he exit the top 10? Is he a top 10 pick? We know he's top 10 worthy, but where do you think he ends up?
He's going to go in the top 10. I'm not sure exactly where. I think it's basically going to be the tackle from Northwestern. He's going to go first, and then whoever drafts him first, the next team's probably going to draft Paris Johnson.
Steelers cornerback, defensive back?
Broderick Jones from Georgia, tackle.
What happened to Joey Porter Jr.? Why
I don't know.
Why did they lose momentum with that?
Actually was watching, that show, Hey Rookie, Welcome to the NFL. I was watching that the other morning. He killed it at the combine, killed it at his pro day, everything like that. The Steelers didn't do an interview with him at the combine, and his dad was saying, well, what do they need to interview you for? They already know you. Like, you've known Coach Tomlin since you were 7 years old. Like, if they want to talk to you, they can just call your cell phone. So I found that pretty interesting. But the things I was reading about the Steelers is they're hopeful that he falls to the second round.
That would interesting if that happens.
He's not making it to the second round.
No, that's why Jody Van Winkle over here said Porter going to the Bengals. Bengals running back, the kid from Alabama, as Mel Kiper hasn't taken. I think as long as they don't get the tight end from Notre Dame, I'm fine. I do think the running back's going to be huge for the Bengals. They get running back, or they surprise everyone with defense?
If Gibbs is there, they'll take Gibbs. If not, I think they go defense. It's always when the guy that you want isn't there, the safe pick is defense.
Defense, and more defense.
Yeah.
Last thing, Will Levis, Richardson. Which one of those two is selected first?
Richardson.
Really? Levis, they have Levis at 4 right now. According to the mock draft, that's Bible. So Richardson.
Yes, I like Richardson better than Will Levis. I like the fact that he played in more of a new era of the NFL. Will Levis is kind of like throwback NFL, like underneath center. A lot of these teams are basically running the same offense that the colleges are giving them, spreading it out, a lot of shotgun. That's what he did at Florida. So I would go with Richardson.
All right, Kenner and Cav here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Thank you, everyone who called in and got a chance to hang out with us here today. The NFL draft coming up here later on tonight, right here on 1410 Wing AM. Really excited about that. Till tomorrow, it's Kenner and Kev, 1410 Wing AM.
3-hour show.